Alrighty, hello everyone. I am Alex, and joining me here is Noble.
Hello.
We are starting off Paradise Schemes Thursday Night Pioneer. This is the first episode of Thursday Night Pioneer here. We had a little stunt with Friday Night Pioneer there for a couple weeks, but now moving into December and onward, we've got some nice Thursday Night Pioneer. It's going to be weekly, so in case you guys were looking for any more Paradise Games weekly action, looks like we got Chris and Pete, a little bit of Blue-Red Phoenix and Green-Black Delirium. So what are your thoughts on this one initially?
Interesting. So I think the most effective thing that Phoenix can do is present the card arc like Phoenix is really good in this matchup. Thing in the Ice dies to Fatal Push, stuff like that. A lot of their other threats get easily answered by removal spells, but Phoenix keeps coming back.
This Deathrite Shaman kind of puts a damper on that plan.
I was gonna say. Oh.
Yeah. For as much flack as Deathrite Shaman gets in this format, it looks pretty good here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Everybody was really excited for Deathrite Shaman, kind of on the initial wave of Pioneer. Everybody was like, oh, sick, we get to play with Deathrite Shaman, but, without the fetch lands, it doesn't look quite as powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
So now we see Chris, kind of tanking about what he's supposed to do here on his third turn of the game. He has the Thing in the Ice. It's still got the 4 counters on it, but what is he supposed to do here? It seems pretty reasonable that Pete would have like a Fatal Push or something like that he just has in his hand, No real reason to just fire it off on main phase or anything like that.
If I'm Chris here, I'm just, based on what I know this deck usually plays, I'm happiest this turn playing some kind of cantrip or perhaps an Abrade or something to get that Deathrite Shaman off the field.
Yeah, definitely. Getting the Deathrite Shaman dead seems pretty important.
I think that's a Tormenting Voice? Or
like
Cathartic Reunion.
A Cathartic Reunion to me. So it looks like he's just discarding Island, and I'm missing the middle spell.
I thought it was a land, too, for some reason.
It could be.
Glare is making it tough. Oh, it looks like a red card?
Yeah, I'm not certain. Perhaps production will let us know.
Yeah.
But looks like he did draw into an Arclight Phoenix, but just a nice tapped Steam Vents here is going to ship the turn back over to Pete. Pete will go ahead and activate his Fabled Passage. So it looks like he discarded a Fiery Temper as well, but he just didn't pay the mana.
Yeah,
to do
he must have been digging for lands.
Yeah, he must have been.
Yeah, because I think the land that he discarded is an island, right? So if you had a red source, you would definitely play it
and Fiery
Temper that.
Yeah, definitely a little awkward.
Yeah. Mana bases in 2-color decks are surprising. We don't have fetches and shock, so they can be surprisingly bad in Pioneer.
Yeah,
you can be missing stuff like that.
Definitely.
Playing a lot of basic lands.
So we've got end of turn Abrupt Decay, taking down that Thing in the Ice. Deathrite Shaman making a mana there. Overgrown Tomb entering the battlefield untapped, puts Pete down to 18. And we'll see how he decides to follow it up. Looks like Scavenging Ooze. I don't think Arclight Phoenix is happening anytime soon.
Nope. I think there's actually a pretty subtle misplay that just happened from Pete there. And not a huge thing, but something that is to take note of, and every little edge counts. Exiling your Deathrite Shaman can exile either person's graveyard for lands, and hitting your Phoenix opponent's land that they discarded off Cathartic Reunion
means that they can't dig through time.
Seems like a better reason to take them off Delve. It essentially, puts you up the same amount of mana and takes them down a mana.
Yeah. So here we've got Lightning Axe discarding Fiery Temper.
A good combo, for sure.
So Chris's turn is Thing in the Ice, Lightning Axe, Fiery Temper. That pretty sick.
That's a pretty good turn.
Yeah, it's a very good turn. Deals with both of Pete's threats, means that he's going to be able to hopefully try and start bringing back Arclight Phoenixes. And if Pete doesn't have another answer for this Thing in the Ice, then potentially that could be a problem. Here we see, I think Pete just drew another Deathrite Shaman though.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that turn was essentially Thing in the Ice. Lightning bolt, even like Lightning Bolt, Magmatic Sinkhole, like the same kind of efficiency, like
very good.
That looks like a Murder Shredder taking care of that second Thing in the Ice.
Yeah, and then here comes Deathrite Shaman. Remember, Pete is still going to go find a land off that Fabled Passage, just a little bit of shortcutting there.
Yep.
Of course, Deathrite Shaman's still summoning sick right now, so if Chris can find a way to get that Arclight Phoenix into his graveyard this turn, he might be able to bring it back, but looks like his hand's another thing in the ice.
Yeah.
Dig Through Time and Arclight Phoenix.
Okay, that's not bad, honestly.
Yeah, the Dig Through Time feels all right here.
It looks like we're casting it, right? We have cards in our graveyard?
Yeah, definitely.
Something that's interesting about Deathrite Shaman is if he activates it targeting a land in his opponent's graveyard and it gets delved away, does he not get mana?
I believe that Deathrite Shaman is a mana ability. Or no, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
We've all done that many a time.
Really interesting. Not usually how mana abilities work.
Yeah.
You can actually disrupt your opponent's mana with a delve spell there.
Correct.
Very
yeah.
Interesting. Another good reason not to exile your own Fabled Passage with your Deathrite Shaman is that you're playing a Delirium deck.
Yeah, definitely.
But easily missed for someone who doesn't play with the card Deathrite Shaman a lot, that it can get land from
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here we see just going to go ahead and cast the this was Treasure Cruise, excuse me, not Dig Through Time. So goes ahead, casts Thing in the Ice, and then delves away his entire graveyard, pays the 2 mana to cast Treasure Cruise. Fatal Push, gonna go ahead and take out these Thing in the Ices. Chris is trying his damnedest with these Thing in the Ices, but they're just not gonna be flipping in this type of matchup.
I said that at the beginning of the match. Say it again. Not a good threat in this matchup.
Definitely.
Hopefully we can get Chris to separate his graveyard and his exile there. That looked like just Treasure Cruise. It's just Treasure Cruise.
And plus a Treasure Cruise plus a Thing in the Ice are the only cards in his graveyard. The rest is in exile, so here we've got Traverse the Ovenwald here. It looks like Pete does have Delirium.
He should, yes. Because he has that Abrupt Decay, that Fatal Push, the Scavenging Ooze, the Fabled Passage. Does he have a sorcery? Does he have does he have a sorcery?
I'm not certain. He definitely has Abrupt Decay. He definitely has instant creature land. Traverse the Ovenwald is a sorcery, but of course does not count for Delirium while it's on the stack.
It looks like he's gonna... Okay.
Looks like he must. Looks like it is going to go ahead and find a Grim Flare. So...
Oh, this is the second Traverse this turn.
Excellent.
Traverse, get a land, Traverse.
Excellent. That makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Missed that little bit. Yeah. So, but now I don't think Pete has any more cards in his hand. So he's tapped out this turn. So once again, if Chris can find a way to put Phoenix in his graveyard and then get it out, he will be able to sneak it by the Deathrite Shaman because, his only mana is, the Deathrite Shaman, and that cannot do both things. So is it Charm? Looks like it's going to draw 2, discard 2.
One of those has to be that Arclight Phoenix, and I imagine you're trying to sculpt your hand so that you can play 2 more spells this turn.
Looks like he's going to be discarding a second. Is it Charm here? Along with his Arclight Phoenix.
I love that. I only like that if we can return our Phoenix now.
Looks like he's going to do his damnedest to.
Okay, off.
But he must be able to because he still has a land drop and he discarded a 2-mana spell here, so he's got to be able to do it. Otherwise, he would have kept the opt in the Is It Charm, surely. Ooh, Lightning Axe. That one's pretty good.
Yeah, that gets that Grimflayer out of here.
Yeah, or the Deathrite Shaman. Probably Grimflayer, a bigger threat here. It's a 4/4. It's going to sculpt Pete's draws.
Yeah.
We'll see if Chris wants to play some other spell here instead, but I'm pretty inclined to this Lightning Axe. We can just discard the Steam Vents, I think, instead of playing it. Looks like Chris agrees. Go ahead and deal with that. Get our Arclight Phoenix out. Attack for 3. Pete will go down to 13. So now it's just a Deathrite Shaman versus an Arclight Phoenix, and Deathrite Shaman's pretty good, but it's not going to be ahead right now.
Yeah. Certainly fair. It does either hit for 2 or gain 2 every turn.
Ooh, Traverse the Ovenwald off the top.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty good.
That's a real good one.
An attack with a Deathrite Shaman. What's happening here?
I'm not certain.
Hopefully we're finding Emrakul. I hope that's what's going to happen. I don't know if he can cast it, but I love that card.
It looks like we're casting Traverse, and looks like we're kind of just shortcutting a mana cost here. So it looks like Kalitas, Trader of Get.
That card does seem pretty good against the card Arclight Phoenix, I will admit.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And of course, Chris still lacking in ways to actually deal with this Kalitas. We saw him cast a Lightning Axe last turn, which I agreed with, but now we're kind of between a rock and a hard place with the 3/4 lifelinker in play.
Yeah.
Let's see how he tries to deal with it. He's going to start things off with Opt. Let's see if we can find a Lightning Axe, something like that.
Yeah, I'd be scrying pretty much anything that isn't a very good threat or a removal spell for that Kalitas to the bottom.
Oh, well, speak of the devil. Lightning Axe, right as ordered.
That does put you down a card every time you use it.
I believe his last card in hand is Treasure Cruise, though.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so he's probably not too worried about it.
Yeah, but putting yourself down a card every time you cast it, except for that one time with the Fire Temper, the other 2 times this game, it has certainly...
Yeah,
Right?
so
Is that the third Lightning Axe?
this is the third Lightning Axe, yes. So, the first Lightning Axe discarded a Fiery Temper, which was excellent.
Yeah, and
then the next two just cost a card, unfortunately, but is what it is.
Price you pay for efficiency.
Yeah, and notably, Chris just gonna fire off the Treasure Cruise now. He could have just left it up and passed the turn and tried to, exile his graveyard in response to a Deathrite Shaman activation, but he just selected it. He just wanted to see his cards now, try and maybe hit a land drop.
It's a sorcery.
Oh, Treasure Cruise is a sorcery, obviously. Yep, never mind. But of course,
Wild/Is It Charm, which
it was Wild/Charter Course.
Charter Course, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember it being good, and then I thought to myself, he drew Wild/Is It Charm. I don't actually think Is It Charm's very good here. But this is a pretty
Charter
good
Course
turn.
is quite good,
We're
yeah.
going to get to use Charter Course twice to draw a total of 4 cards.
Yeah, there was another Charter Course off the top. Oh,
and then
man,
a third
another
one. I think we can play land Charter Course, and just
that
end this
seems great.
turn.
Yeah. Just +1 card every time. Looks like Pete's doing a little bit of Treasure Cruise math here. Looks like.
Yeah, if you rip a Treasure Cruise, should I exile your thing now?
Which, Chris could play Land Cruise right now, assuming Pete did not, because Pete did not do anything. But, well, Chris doesn't have it, so looks like he's just going to say go ahead with the 2 mana up. Interesting choice there, not electing to just fire off the third Treasure Cruise. Looks like he's holding up a Wild Slash.
I don't think he drew a Treasure Cruise, right? Did he?
No, excuse me, the Charter Course, not firing off the third chart. So, looks like Is It Charm getting exiled. Chris will take 2.
Yeah, Phoenix really showing its resiliency. Like, they've been low on
Definitely.
cards multiple times, then it's just been like Treasure Cruise into Charter Course.
Yeah.
Get my hand refilled again.
Plenty of gas.
Doesn't matter that I keep 2 for wanting myself, and then get to beat you down with this flyer.
Yeah, notably, this
How did this...
Murderous Rider is going to be kind of a problem. So, looks like we're responding to the Thoughtseize by Wild Slashing Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite Shaman's going to go ahead and exile a creature card from Pete's own graveyard, so he'll go ahead and gain 2 life.
Yep.
And then the Deathrite Shaman will die, and here's Chris's hand. It's Charter Course, Opt, and Land.
Why is that Murderous Rider tapped?
It attacked.
Did he play it last turn?
Yeah.
Oh. For some reason I thought it had been...
Ooh, and there's a Fatal Push to take out the Arclight Phoenix. Thankfully, the Deathrite Shaman's no longer on the field, so if Chris can chain off a few spells with this Opt in hand, he'll be able to get the Arclight Phoenix back. So.
Did he play that land? No, he didn't.
No, I think that's just in his hand.
Yeah, I was actually going to a couple turns ago comment on maybe I wouldn't have played that tap Steam Vents there, and then of course, Chris, showing that he's a better Is It Phoenix player than I am, ripped draw spell and cast draw spell.
Yeah.
And the mana was very important. But sometimes you want to hold lands in a deck like Is It Phoenix with all of the Is It Charms and stuff that you can use to filter through those lands, discard them, instead of real cards.
Looks like now we're seeing Fiery Temper your Murderous Rider, Wild Slash your face, upstairs. So, yeah, he needed the mana anyway.
Yeah.
He needed the mana this turn, too.
It was a 5 damage Wild Slash effectively because he got that Arclight Phoenix back in action.
Yeah, so now Pete down to 4. He looks like he debated between playing land or not. Looks like he will play the land. And then this attack's going to put Pete all the way down to 1. Thing in the Ice number 4.
Oh, yeah.
And Pete's going to need a good one. Land is not it. Means that we'll see Chris take down the first match. Let's take a look at the sideboards here. Over on Pete's side, we have 1 Emrakul the Promised End, 1 Reclamation Sage, 1 Ishkana Graph Widow, 1 Pulse Marasa, 3 Duress, 2 Collective Brutality, 1 Kalitas Trader of Get, 1 Assassin's Trophy, 1 Legion's End, 1 Murderous Rider, and 2 Yeheni's Expertise. What sounds good here?
I am looking particularly at Kalitas Trader of Get, as we saw in that game. If you get to have that in a removal spell,
seems
both
quite good.
Swings the rates for you, perhaps makes a 5/6, and gets rid of those Arclight Phoenixes forever. I also am into this Ishkana Graph Widow as a way to
Ishkana
stabilize
seems great, yeah.
against the card Arclight Phoenix, and then actually close out a game as you start like attacking for 5 and activating it.
Certainly.
I could be convinced on Murderous Rider or Legion's End, but both those cards' primary purpose is to kill Thing in the Ice, and that's not a huge problem for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Duress is pretty good. You usually want to just be able to take resources. We see all of the 2-for-1 myself cards out of the Arclight Phoenix deck, and if you can take the Treasure Cruise, the Chart of Courses, the ones that refill out of their hand, you can usually end up just outgrinding them. I mean, the story of this game was definitely players trade cards, and at the end of the day, Chris had Treasure Cruise and Pete did not.
Yeah, that's certain. About that, though, we do have, I assume, 4 Thoughtseize main, so I don't know if I want all 3 to rest, but maybe 1 or 2, going up to 6 of that effect. It's not like a control deck where that card is always going to be live, because often, late in the game, Izzet Phoenix can rip, cantrip, refill their hand, and play most of the relevant spells immediately. And in those cases, you'll duress them even if they have 2 or 3 cards in hand, and they'll have, an Opt and a Wild Slash, which really aren't that big of a deal to take,
you don't feel great about it, but it is still what it is.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Chris's sideboard with Phoenix. He's got 2 Magma Spray, 2 Negate, 2 Young Pyromancer, 2 Abrade, 2 Brazen Borrower, 2 Anger of the Gods, 1 the Royal Scions, and 2 Izzet Viceroy.
I like a lot of these cards, actually. I'm a fan of these Izzet Viceroys. I like having a bigger plan, like a card that you can top deck against a Delirium deck that is a minus on a removal spell.
Yep.
Even if your graveyard is under attack, because its minus ability does actually count in the graveyard as well as exile. Fun little theme that was in those
Good plan.
Jumpstart things. I also don't mind potentially Young Pyromancer to kind of diversify your threats. We saw 4 Thing in the Ice and an Arclight Phoenix die that game.
I quite enjoy the Young Pyromancers.
Yeah, the Arclight Phoenix ended up getting over the finish line, but without that many other threats, you could see that being outground. Especially, for example, if that last Thing in the Ice died, which I think it did, and then, if that last Thing in the Ice had died and Pete had a Ishkana, I don't know if Chris can ever win that game.
Probably not.
So having something like the Young Pyromancer for more threats.
I like the Magma Sprays as well.
Like the Magma Sprays?
Yeah, we've seen Deathrite Shaman, and Pete's shown us Grim Flayer as well, and Scavenging Ooze.
Perhaps the Naked Scavenging Ooze,
yeah. I think that's enough for me. I'm willing to bring in my Magma Sprays for that.
You think that's better than a Braid? Because 2 of those cards can grow, but I guess a Braid doesn't kill a grown Grim Flayer. So.
Yeah, I do think that it's better, because Scavenging Ooze can get bigger, but hopefully we're keeping an eye out on a Scavenging Ooze, and Magma Spray is much cheaper. Also, the Exile Clause is quite relevant against the Delirium deck.
Yep.
So I'm pretty happy with Magma Sprays, and we do need answers to Deathrite Shaman. It's not like our deck does get hosed pretty hard by it. So
certainly.
All right. Looks like players have decided on their sideboards. Going to game numero dos.
Yeah, let's see if we see some of those sideboards. Let's see if their players had the same thinking along the same lines that we were with those sideboard plans.
Definitely. All right. Looks like Pete's did bring in at least 1 copy of Duress there, pulled to the front of his hand.
Yeah, and as soon as you brought it up, it kind of occurred to me also Izzet Phoenix is kind of a card velocity deck and does want to chain 3 spells in a row, so being able to just take even an Opt out of their hand
often matters.
Very, very relevant.
Yeah, often matters.
So I might actually want all 3.
Okay, so I haven't seen if Chris has drawn a hand yet. Have you been paying attention, or are we going to see his...
It looked like a mulligan to me. I believed he was mulliganing, yeah.
All right, well, we'll have to see. Looks like Pete's going to be keeping his hand, so we'll see if Chris can keep this one. Looks like
starting with a Spiral Canal. It's the best land in your deck.
Got a couple lands, some spells.
Yeah.
Looks like maybe a little land heavy.
Potentially.
It's got the Young Pyromancer in it, so.
Okay, I like that.
Pete starting things off with tapped Overgrown Tomb. Doesn't elect to take the damage for the Duress in his hand. Who draws another copy of Duress. I wonder if we'll just see him fire both of those off right now.
Yeah, I think he can afford to play it safe. Like you said, the cards that he really wants to rest, like that Ral out of the sideboard and those Treasure Cruises, are not going to be played in the next 2 turns.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's nice to actually give your opponent a couple turns to draw the more high-impact cards. Taking this Fiery Temper, though, seems bad, because your opponent would get to Lightning Bolt you.
Yeah, you could take Lightning Axe or Opt here. Interesting if Pete's going to want to fire off the second Duress here. He doesn't have another 1-mana spell, but, all of these cards don't seem too relevant. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and traverse, presumably go find a land to be able to hit his land drops, so looks like he'll leave Chris with whatever he's got behind. So
Yeah, give him another chance or two to draw Treasure Cruise.
yeah, I wonder if
really
Chris
care
was
about.
just gonna jam out the young pyromancer here. It's not like he, you usually want to get some value out of it, but with this particular hand, it's not like we really have any spells to get value out of it with.
Like, I don't really want to cast it and then, like, Lightning Axe, discarding Lightning Axe. Like, that just seems bad to me. I think I would play this young Pyromancer here, but Chris obviously disagrees. He is leaving up
Removal spells,
Lightning Axe, Fiery Temper. Good old... build your own Searing Blood of Sorts. 5 damage to your creature, 3 damage to you.
Looks like here's another Duress from Pete. Gonna see another young Pyromancer. Fascinating.
Oh, wow, really?
I think I would have cast the young Pyromancer on that turn then.
Yeah, certainly.
Looks like one of the Lightning Axes is gonna go away. And then now we'll see if Pete wants to do anything else. Pete could, obviously he's got his land for turn. Maybe we've got some 2-mana creatures in there, something like that. Looks like he's just gonna play a land and say go. So Chris is gonna go ahead and draw a card. Looks like untapped Steam Vents.
Yeah, I don't think we can reasonably...
Young Pyromancer.
I don't think we can reasonably take the line of don't cast my Young Pyromancer because it might die, and then play tap Steam Vents Young Pyromancer.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
And, obviously this would require Pete to just jam a creature out right now that we can Lightning Axe. And even then, I'm not crazy about just casting Lightning Axe right now, so it's pretty awkward.
No, this
Vraska Golgari Queen seems excellent in the current situation.
No kidding.
It's just gonna plus.
Yeah, I'm at a minus there, but I guess the fear is if that last card that was drawn was like an opt or something, it would be real bad for you because your opponent would get to make a 1/1
and then kill the
your
Vraska
and then play another Young Pyromancer that's supposedly uncontested.
Makes sense.
This man is asking.
Looks like looks like we might have a judge question here. We'll have to see.
I can go step out and answer that for him.
I assume that our production has it.
In production?
Has it handled, so we will get an update on what the question is here soon. In the meanwhile, this game's pretty interesting. I'm not certain what Pete has in his hand, but given a reasonable hand that Pete would have, I would expect him to be ahead right now. And notably, we do have 2 face-down cards in Chris's hand, and those could matter quite a bit.
So here's the thing. How many cards does our friend Pete have in hand? Like 4?
It's like 2.
2?
I think, like 2 or 3. Yeah.
One of them's Duress, right? Oh, no, he's cast both.
He's cast both Duress.
So,
he cast a Traverse.
Yeah, so we got to think to ourselves.
Looks like it's 3.
3. So one of them is Assassin's Trophy.
Castle Lochthwain, and Unknown.
Okay.
I believe are the cards.
So I was gonna say it's a little hard for me to imagine a scenario where, like, from Chris's seat, I'm thinking, okay, so my opponent passed, left up 2 mana, like duressed me on turn 3, left up 2 mana, passed. Didn't have a removal spell for Young Pyromancer, did not have a threat. Like, what the heck do they have? It has to be some combination of, like, expensive spells, and that's maybe it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So it looks like Chris was asking for the Oracle text on Wild Slash to make sure that he can actually Wild Slash Vraska now with the rules change. So
yeah.
Wild Slash, you are allowed to target the Vraska with it. So looks like that is going to be Chris's turn. He's going to go ahead and cast Young Pyromancer, Wild Slash the Vraska, attack the Vraska down to 2.
Yep, so
and
then kill one of those peasies.
Yep, now he's got Shivan Reef for turn. So he is holding up this Lightning Axe.
All right, Tireless Tracker is a really good draw off the top.
Tireless Tracker's quite good. It's definitely just going to get Lightning Axed here, though. So
that's fair.
But I'm whatever, right? Like, we get to play the Tireless Tracker, make the clue, sacrifice the clue to Vraska, draw a card, gain a life.
Put a +1 Slowing Tenor on the tracker because you're sacrificing a clue.
Yep, which isn't going to matter here, but does feel pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Our opponent, Chris, is in a pretty good position to go aggressive here. Just like untap next turn.
Murderous Rider off the top.
That's pretty good. But untap next turn, Lightning Axe your creature, send that Fire Temper at your face. Send those 2 1/1s of Vraska just for insurance, and then just beat face with the...
Well, I think you've got to kill the Vraska.
Well, yeah, because you're sending the 2 1/1s at it.
That doesn't kill Vraska.
But you have the Fiery Temper.
Oh, if we're firing tempering Vraska, yeah, sure. I see what you mean. Looks like Assassin's Trophy and Assassin's Trophy, Vraska, and Murderous Rider are the cards in hand.
That's not a bad grip.
It's not, but, he also allowed Chris to untap here, which means that he is going to get to cast his spells and get the tokens off the Young Pyromancers. I'm not crazy about that. I wonder if you're supposed to just Assassin's Trophy the Young Pyromancer now.
It's
I mean, these tokens...
2 tokens, right?
Yeah, these tokens matter quite a bit. I mean, this is going to be 4 tokens.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Looks like Chris is going to cast the spells that we know, so here are the Young Pyromancer triggers.
So you cast Lightning Axe and discard Fire Temper, and there's a trigger. So there is actually a chance to Assassin's Trophy one of the Young Pyromancers so that you don't get a token for the Fiery Temper.
Correct.
So that might be a line that Pete chooses to take.
Yeah, I mean, if you got this trophy here, I think you should play it now. But still, I mean, Chris is going to get at least 1 extra token this way because Pete just didn't do it on his turn. So you know, can't say I love it.
Yeah, a decent lesson in just because a card says instant does not mean you need to cast it on your opponent's
Definitely true.
That's a trap many people fall into. They see a card, have an option, just like, well, I'll just pass and see what happens. When a lot of time, correct move, just tap out, fire it off.
Yeah. You know, don't allow your opponent to interact or make the first move.
Especially with 2 other.
Is often correct. So it looks like Chris did get to cast the spell. I believe that he, targeted at Pete. I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Imagine. So I really don't like this. Imagine if our opponent had drawn Treasure Cruise or something, right? Like, if they just get to cast a sorcery and trigger both these Young Pyromancers immediately, like, that's such a blow. Like, that's so many
really
more
bad.
tokens
Yeah,
than they would have had otherwise.
It's really bad. Or just if they just start their turn with opt.
Yeah, and our
something
Ace
right now.
Opponent is already on 4 lands. Like, the 5th land doesn't do that much for them. It's not like taking them from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. 4 to 5 is a much less significant.
They can cast their spells.
Cheap of a deck. Yeah.
So it looks like everything's going to resolve here. Here come 4 more tokens.
Yep. It looks like the Fire Temper didn't go at Vraska.
Did go at Vraska, correct. So now we're going to go ahead and go to attacks.
Yep. Correctly.
So it looks 2. 2 at Vraska, Assassin's Trophy at the Young Pyromancer.
It looks like Chris actually missed some triggers here. He only put 2
tokens out.
And he had 2 Young Pyromancers and cast 2 spells.
Yes. Notably, Madness is a cast. You do cast the spell. So Young Pyromancer does trigger when you Madness a Fiery Temper.
Yep.
But it looks like Chris may have missed those triggers. So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that matters quite a bit.
2 1/1s is certainly... I don't know if he missed the second Young Pyromancer. I think he's actually noticing it right now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that gets undone or anything.
No,
but Chris drew a Charter Course. Yep. That seems quite good.
It does seem quite good.
Yeah. So
honestly, I would have fired that off before combat. I think I would have expected my Young Pyromancer. I would be like, I have a sorcery and 2 instants in my hand. I just want to make sure that I get full value of these Young Pyromancers, and I would have just fired that off. I don't care about discarding a card. One of those 2 cards is probably a land, or maybe even a fire. And we have a Fiery Temper in our hand, right? So worst case scenario, we play it first thing, draw 2 cards that we like, get to discard our Fiery Temper, kill the Triumph Tracker, and don't even have to use our Lightning Axe, right? We just kill that.
Yeah, seems pretty good to me. Yeah. It's definitely tempting because my initial reaction to that was I don't know, I kind of value a card more than a 1/1, but I don't know. The more you talked about it, the more I think I agree with you.
Yeah,
I believe that is true. So looks like passing the turn back here.
Yep.
It's like players are just kind of combining things here. So obviously, Chris making another 1/1. Double problem solved. So Murderous Rider, your Young Pyromancer, going to go ahead and get that thing off the field. Of course, Pete's going to take some more damage, and then he's just going to go ahead and cast it. So pretty easy, clean turn there. And now, Chris is just left with, what is this, 7 1/1 tokens? That's pretty good.
Yeah, it didn't look like... it did look like there were Henny's expertise in Pete's sideboard, but I would be shocked if they were brought in.
Yeah, it seems unlikely.
Yeah, so...
here's Shimmer of... it's strategic planning.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've looked at the top 3, put 2 in the discard, right?
And 1 into your hand, yeah.
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but also if you're casting Charter Course before combat and drawing an Arclight Phoenix, discarding it, and then casting 2 more spells, you also get an Arclight Phoenix out of the deal.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably should have happened, but we're critiquing a lot of little plays that are small edges, and decks like this are very hard to play. And I think Chris has definitely played this game quite well.
Yeah, here we see He finds a lightning axe off the strategic planning. Here's an attack for 7. He's only got a land in hand, so he's definitely in plan. Hope that these 7/1/1s win the game. But given Pete's hand, that does seem likely. You know, like, what are we doing with Vraska? Minusing on token? Probably, right?
I don't think you can. I think you have to plus.
Or just
It gains
plus
a
and
life,
hope we
right?
draw something. Yeah, like that too. Looks like sacrificing forest.
Oh, is there still an Assassin's Trophy in Pete's hand?
He cast it earlier, but he could have drawn another one.
I just saw a flash of black green. Might be an abrupt decay.
Something like that.
But none of these cards are good against a 1/1 token.
Yeah.
Kalidas is probably the most life draw for Pete. It actually stabilizes him, but actually doesn't, right? Because we're going to 4, and then Kalidas would still, I think, leave us dead to those tokens.
Well, if we untapped and played Kalidas, we would. Well, with the Vraska minus, we could do it.
Yeah.
So here's Cathartic Reunion and a land in hand. So, but Chris cannot play that, unfortunately. So he's gonna be left with the Cathartic Reunion and land in hand. So here is 7 at you. Fatal push a token. I assume this is at you. I would hope so, at least. Yeah. I can't imagine it's at Vraska. Looks like it is. Pete's down to 5. So he's only got 6 tokens right now. So, but if land is the only card for Pete, then that means that I don't think we can survive.
I mean, we need... Vraska has a plus, right?
Yeah, Vraska plus is like, that's just all we got. And, Pete is going to go ahead and thin his deck first with the Fabled Passage. So
Don't mind that.
Makes sense to me. You get to float a mana, make it a little bit more likely that you find something live. Mm-hmm. But this does have to be something that it deals with at least 2 tokens in order for Pete to get another draw step here. So any creature that isn't Scavenging Ooze won't be able to do it.
Vraska gains a life when she pluses.
Oh, you're right. So he just needs pretty much any hit to survive a turn.
Yeah, but then he'll be at 1, and then the things he needs go way up.
Yeah.
The number of things he needs go way
definitely.
up.
So...
Why is this land tapped?
He's floating a mana before he Vraskas, so looks like he's just making sure he floats the correct mana. We have a Castle Lochthwain, but awkwardly enough, that one's kind of not so good.
Yeah, no.
So... if we have to activate it, I'm sure we'll see him activate it.
I'm in it for another game.
Fatal
Emrakul
push
off the top. No, that's Fatal Push. All right.
Fatal Push does keep him alive, so...
That it does.
Of course, Chris now has Is It Charm, Cathartic Reunion land. I wonder if how he's going to sequence these spells.
I think I would certainly split Cathartic Reunion, right? You end up with 3 cards.
I think I agree.
Playing Is It Charm, ending up with 2 cards.
Yeah, so here's 1, 2, and 3 off the top. Is It Charm double land?
Playing Is It Charm.
Yeah,
draw 2.
do some cycling. Yep.
Cards that draw 2 here, easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Land.
Oh, that Wandering
land.
Fumeral's pretty good though.
At least Wandering Fumeral's definitely an upgrade, but... So I would expect him to just pitch 2 lands and play a Wandering Fumeral. That's another lethal attacker for next turn. Doesn't die to sorcery speed removal. Here goes combat. Fatal Push 1. Pete will go down to 1.
Yep. And we see again how different this game would have been if he denied him two tokens.
Yeah, 2 tokens.
Potentially
That's
3
all it
tokens.
was, yeah.
And that puts Pete instead of at 1 at maybe 5.
At
and then there's only
5 with a
tokens.
Vraska. The tokens probably would have had to attack the Vraska because you don't have that
and you
really strong clock. Yeah. So here we'll see Pete float a mana plus his Vraska again, go up to 2.
What is this Vraska at?
10.
Okay. If Pete is not at 6, he is in fact at 1.
He's at 2 now.
2.
Corsair of Crufix. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh.
I believe he's dead.
Yeah, that's a shame because it is worth noting that Chris is dead next turn.
Yeah, definitely.
Because this Trampling Grimflayer plus a Vraska Ultimate will kill him.
But
if he chooses to go for life total, but that was a little unfortunate. If we hit a land there, I think we're going to 3. We have 2 blockers to 5 tokens. Oh,
plus
so
the
close.
Fumeral.
Oh, there's the Fumeral.
Yeah, plus the Fumeral. Yeah, so still dead. He needed to hit land.
He just needed to.
He just needed to draw Kalidas, or basically, or Maelstrom Pulse, or whatever. Anyways, I would like to take a moment to talk about Paradise Games. Paradise Games is where you're watching this. If you're watching us on Twitch Live, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you come check us out live on Twitch. We stream every Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And if you miss anything while you're watching us live, you can go and check out the VOD. they're always up later that night. The PodVods are easy to find on YouTube if you just give that a search. So with that, we also have a Pioneer 1K coming up on December 14th. That is only 9 days away.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. That is next Saturday. If you guys would like to pre-register, which I highly recommend you do, we have a 48-player cap, and I do expect it to fill. You can go to that little Magic Events tab you see on your screen, and you'll find a directory that is relatively easy to take you to buy a pre-order ticket for that event. And if you can't make it to that event for whatever reason, we will be streaming the whole thing. So I'll be here on December 14th bringing you the entire day of action. It's probably going to be 9 or so hours of live stream content, so it's going to be great. It's also a cash payout, so pretty nice. If you're looking to make some free money on the side, I highly recommend showing up for this tournament. We also have pre-order prices for Theros Beyond Death set at $100 after sales tax already. So that is lower than they've ever been. So if you're looking to try and pre-order, if you know you're going to buy boxes of Theros After Death, go ahead and pre-order them now. It's $100 after sales tax, $92 before tax. So makes it really easy. And it's there's going to be good value in that set.
Get that sweet, probably too good buy a box promo for your trouble.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. With that, we're going to see if we can find another match for this round, or we'll be back with the next round. And I would like to mention really quick before I leave you guys that we will be playing Hot Damn Scandal, and that match we just saw between Chris and Pete happens to be two of the members of Hot Damn Scandal. So thank you very much to both of them for playing, good friends and great music, and we thank you a lot for you guys letting us use your music on stream. So we'll see you guys very shortly. Make sure you don't go anywhere.
The bottom fell out of the clouds today, and the rain came down like a mirror. One big sheet and it shattered on the ground. Now it's 7 years of bad luck all over this town. It's collection time on all of your debts, and you can't get by just talking. Your smile don't work, and your car don't start, and your doors ain't keeping you alone. No, not even if you like them. No, not even if you like them. When you're tapped into that bitter vein, just about anything feels good. The sun tried shining on a lost boy's eyes. They reflected oh so pretty, but it's cold behind them golden shores, and the sweet light wasn't nothing more than their own damn wishing, 'cause they just don't listen. Now wish on your candles, pray to your God, cry for your mama, put $1 on the bar. It feels like breathing, but the only good feeling ain't a gamble is a sin. So I think I play it safe and get a gin. I'll take the devil for a spin. When you're tapped into that bitter vein, just about anything feels good. shine an ugly light around in the room that I've been hiding in. Now I take the easy way, yeah, that gets harder every day. But I ain't here to fix myself, I'm just trying to blind these eyes from hell. When you're tapped into that beat of fame, just about anything feels good. I like to swim at the bottom of the barrel. I like to sleep in hidey holes and barroom stalls. I like to hear the piano playing in the bloody little dawn. I like to wake up with the devil and drink him till he's gone. The queen is drunk and someone armed the pawns. Oh, the truth they say is an acquired taste, a vice I've never thought to own. There is no cleaner left, so we filter it through cigarettes. For the gambler's mercy keeps us blind and fade. Been relying on my bruises, defined my edges against skies of gray, but now my worries are how far away. The sky is clear and I begin to fade. Once I believed in paradise, a place where I would never feel no pain, a state of mind I never have to change. But now it all looks alright, and I begin to fade. Trouble, I need you. I don't know.
Alrighty, welcome back everyone to round number 2 here at the Paradise Games Thursday Night Pioneer. We have a Nick versus Greg playing a little bit of Demir Draw Go versus Greg describes it as Golgari Trade Binder. You described it as what? Green Black Hits?
Yeah, green black hits. You know, running it back. Think about the best green black cards in the last couple of seasons of Standard. Nothing spicy. We just have Thoughtseize, Tireless Trackers, Ravenous Chupacabras, Kalidas' Fatal Pushes. You know, good cards. Good fun match
hits don't cop summing. Yeah, green black from the 90s.
Yeah. So usually pre-board.
This is like the throwback of like, you know, the like Spotify, like Your Decade on Spotify. This is green black logged in. It was like Your Decade. This is what Greg is playing.
And then we have Your Decade in blue black
in blue black control. Pretty
Look at that
much.
hand. That's a Choked Estuary, a Search for Canta,
Dig Through Time and Torrential Gearhulk.
Oh yeah, with an Evolving Wilds on turn 1.
Yep.
Beautiful.
It was Sunken Drown Yard. This is the dream.
Oh yeah, love this. Oh, is that really the tap land, the like gate?
No, that's the
Reveal
it's the fast land, I think.
There's no
Sunken Drown.
Oh, it's Drowned Catacombs.
Drowned Catacombs. That's the one. Duh.
So-
yeah,
Wait.
had my name wrong.
Wait. Can we we back up for a second. We missed a pretty important interaction, which was why the heck did that search for his Canton not get... Oh, we figured it out.
Yep.
Well done. Thanks for that, Greg.
Yeah.
Thinking there.
I watched that happen and just sort of assumed we would get our answer. All right.
Yeah. So, honestly, this matchup looks pretty bad for Golgari Tradebinder pre-board. All
Probably,
the
yeah.
cards are live, and at least 10 of Tradebinder's cards are
Not.
if not great, if not dead, bad. Like Fatal
Yeah.
Push has no targets in this deck.
You could definitely wind up in a position where something like Nick's hand kind of just doesn't really come together, and you kind of just beat him to death with some Mopey Tireless Trackers and Scavenging Oozes and whatnot, and I could easily see that being a path to a game, back it up with a Thoughtseize or two. But I do suspect that in a post-board game here, Greg's going to get a lot more tools, extra hand disruption and the like, should help him out quite a bit. And, this Scavenging is going to do a reasonable job just keeping Nick off the dig-through time in his hand.
Yeah,
which is pretty important.
My follow-up for that was, but if this matchup is going to go well, it goes turn 1 Thoughtseize you, turn 2 Thoughtseize your answer, turn 2 Abrupt Decay your search, then keep you off this dig through time forever.
Yeah.
So looks pretty good.
Greg had an interesting choice there at the end of turn. He could have either castled to draw a card. It would have cost him about 5 life, but that's probably fine. But instead he just elected to just activate my Scavenging Ooze twice, just keep you off dig through time. Here we see Nick play Fabled Passage, crack it, Greg in response, all right, before you get your land, exile that Fabled Passage. He's having none of this dig through time that Nick has in his hand, and it is costing him quite a bit of speed, admittedly. So, Greg isn't doing anything else with his time, which is pretty important. He doesn't have a super fast clock. Eventually, Nick's just going to be able to keep making his land drops and just hard cast this dumb dig through time, or damn near.
It doesn't really look like Greg actually has that much else going on. It looks like there's a couple of removal spells in that hand.
I see a Chupacabra.
An Abrupt Decay. These are the cards we were talking about. They're just Greg started this game 2 cards down because he had a 2/2 in his deck,
Yeah, here's a Llanowar Elves. Fatal Push targeting Scavenging Ooze.
Very nice.
Scavenging Ooze will be hitting the bin.
All right, this dig through time is online. Through the Scavenging Ooze's best efforts.
Yeah, delayed it for plenty of time. Now all Nick has to do is tap 7 mana for it or something if he wants to cast it, which honestly he probably does.
Certainly.
Especially because you want to get it in your graveyard for that Torrential Gearhulk next turn, right?
You're just gonna the next couple turns are gonna look like end step, dig, find counterspell Torrential Gearhulk. If you do something I care about, counter it. If you don't, Torrential Gearhulk, dig through time. Yeah. Just put the game away.
Here's Vivian Reed. So Greg kind of forcing Nick to do something. He's basically saying, all right, Nick, you want to cast this dig through time? That isn't happening. You got to spend your mana to deal with this Vivian Reed.
Yep.
And we'll see if Nick wants to do anything. But it looks like no. It's just going to go ahead and resolve. So Greg's got to be feeling pretty good about that one.
Yeah.
Green-black Tradebinder indeed.
Interesting that our Llanowar Elves got tapped instead of that.
The Overrun
Tomb. So it's either means he's just anticipating wanting to cast a black spell, or
he must have a Thoughtseize in his hand, right?
Yeah.
Or he must have a 2 mana spell, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like here is that end step dig through time. We'll have to see what he decides to take off of it.
There's a cast down, a search for his Canta, a land I see, an opt I see, another Torrential Gearhulk I see. All of these cards sound good to me.
Yeah, this is a lot of this is a lot of gas.
Yeah. Something that is quite notable about Vivian Reed, it pluses to be better than draw a card. It's -8 does win the game. It's -8 probably wins the game.
It's got to win the game.
It's -3 just kills Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah, it's quite good.
You can chump for it for a turn, or even just have it at high enough loyalty that you just have a 5 mana Planeswalker that gets to come down, kill one of their good threats. And then start taking over the game.
I would assume that Nick tried to find an answer to this Vivian Reed there with that dig through time, be it a Hero's Downfall, a Murderous Rider, or the like. But hopefully we'll see this Vivian just kind of hit the bin on Nick's turn. I'd be somewhat worried if it didn't. So Greg just going to go ahead and read Torrential Gearhulk here.
Yeah, I know he didn't get revealed or anything by Nick. It was just, I know it's in your hand from that Thoughtseize. Yeah, he wasn't putting it on the stack or anything. Just, I know that was in my hand from, because I got to look at it. Tell me what it says, please.
Yeah, so here's the Hero's Downfall I mentioned a little earlier. Gonna go ahead and take out Vivian. And tapping out of the Torrential Gearhulk now for potentially another threat. Liliana the Last
Card looks pretty good here.
Yeah, and Abrupt Decay the Liliana.
Okay. Another good use for Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, still got a 2-for-1 out of Greg, though.
One of the reasons I like
Liliana.
playing that Liliana there instead of, I believe, the Search for Escanto, which is the other card he took off the Dig Through Time. I'm pretty certain, because he went to tap 2 mana and then was like, no, I'll tap 3. And I'm guessing that's because there was a 2 mana enchantment in his hand.
Yeah, I didn't get a good look at it. Ooh, Nissa Vital Force in Greg's hand. He's giving that one a read right now. I'm just slamming it.
Yeah, right? You play it, you get back Vivian, right? You -3, you get back Vivian. Probably the best.
That or just start attacking.
Yeah.
Opponents of 4, I'm like pretty into that. Or opponents of 14, but it looks like Get Back Vivian is going to be what Greg elects to do, and I do like that as well. I don't think you could really go wrong here.
There are a lot
Both
of
options are quite good.
The nice thing is you can also just like sacrifice your Nissa next turn for if you plus beat for 5, put our opponent to 9. Then we just, if we get a chance, just minus our Nissa, and then have the ability to just win a long game by playing land drops and drawing cards.
Yeah, definitely. Notably, the attack this turn isn't nearly as good as the attack would have been last turn, and here's that Search for Escanto that you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, because you mean this turn coming
this turn,
up. Yeah,
because now he has a Torrential Gearhulk up that we know about. So.
Yeah, and Torrential Gearhulk is a 5/6, which pretty cleanly eats that land.
Looks like we're just going to go ahead and jam out the Vivian.
I think I might actually plus here.
Looks like we're just gonna destroy Search for Escanto.
No, I meant plus the
Nissa Vital Force.
Yeah, and then get in if it tries to eat it with Torrential Gearhulk, get it with Vivian, but that just might all be too cute.
We also have a Murderous Rider in our hand, so theoretically we could plus with Nissa, plus with Vivian, try and find a land, and then have our Murderous Rider up that we can just pass the turn with. Our opponent's definitely going to end step Torrential Gearhulk plus flashback. Dig Through Time here.
Yeah.
So if we have any way to interact with that meaningfully, that seems quite good. Yep. Here is the Murderous Rider that we're just going to go ahead and hold up. So we'll get to kill.
Pretty obvious hold up of a Murderous Rider.
Yeah, we'll get to kill this Torrential Gearhulk. Our opponent's basically just going to get a 6-mana Dig Through Time out of the deal. So
and get this Murderous Rider out of our hand.
Yeah. Hopefully this Dig Through Time isn't that good. Because if it is that good, if it is very good, then we're probably behind. But it looks like Greg's pretty far ahead right now.
Yeah, double Planeswalker on the board,
Yeah, and he's not going to be able to pressure them.
Yeah.
Very notably. So, looks like he's passed the turn. We'll see. Nick's still in the tank about what he's supposed to do with this. Here comes the Torrential Gearhulk. He's going to target Dig Through Time. I assume that Greg's going to go ahead and respond to that with the Murderous Rider. You could let the Dig Through Time resolve, not give your opponent the information that your Torrential Gearhulk's dying, but in case your opponent just, really levels you and grabs a Spell Pierce or something weird. I'm just no nonsense. We both know what's happening here. Yeah, it's stubborn.
Half a Spell Pierce, and then when the Torrential Gearhulk
it's definitely a Spell Pierce. Another Dig Through Time in the pile. I wonder if Nick's going to lean towards that. It looks like he is.
Yeah.
So it looks like this 7 doesn't have quite what he needs. So it gets a nice little redig action. Pretty good.
What was the second card he took?
I didn't see. Torrential Gearhulk.
Okay.
Lol.
Double redig action.
This worked so well last time. Let's just run it back.
More realistically, though, I think that Hero's Downfall is still in his graveyard, and he might just be like, I need to kill these Planeswalkers. They're going to bury me.
I think so. I think that this Vivian needs to go now.
Yeah.
We'll see if he agrees. Here looks like he's tapping 3 mana. 3 mana this must be the spell he drew for the turn. If he's thinking about only tapping 3 mana, we'll see what he does. Yeah. Looks like he's mostly just playing with his lands for now.
Probably doesn't have enough mana to. Yeah, he's counting up his lands, seeing if he can maybe Dig Through Time plus Torrential Gearhulk. What exactly is going on?
Yeah.
But there is a world where just casting another dig, Torrential Gearhulking another dig, another 4 cards off the top 14 cards of the deck might just not be good enough to beat a card a turn from these Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I mean the 5/6 pretty relevant. Notably, you can hope that Greg's going to plus his Nissa Vital Force and just jam into your Torrential Gearhulk. And if that happens, then we're going to be really... Then we've basically recouped our card from, the one that the Vivian would have drawn, and you get to ambush a 5/5 land. Yeah. Feels pretty good. But looks like Nick's just going to elect for the main phase.
Yeah, that's also notably nice. I do agree with Nick's play for the record here, but it is worth noting that Pioneer, pretty new format. These decks are not established. Nick is not playing a tier deck. Greg is not playing a tier deck that people know the list for.
Yeah.
And a lot of control decks are playing between 0 and 4 copies of Torrential Gearhulk. So he might be well, we've answered one or two already.
Yeah.
He's like, and then...
How many more could there be?
Yeah, I'll just plus and jam, and then Nick gets to get him. But I think killing this before it can activate...
he killed this a Vital Force instead of the Vivian Reed.
Do not like that. Actually, it was on 3, right?
It was on 3, so it could have minused, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. It, like, minuses to kill itself and gets back, what? Like a scavenging ooze?
Yeah.
Whatever, like...
No, it would get back the Vivian that just got killed by the Hero's Downfall. Again.
Yeah, you're right.
So maybe he was afraid of the sequence of Torrential Gear Hulk, kill your Vivian, minus my Nissa, get back my Vivian, kill your Torrential Gear Hulk, and then he's in literally this exact same position, except down 5 mana.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But, you know, here we are.
Yeah.
So, we've got Murderous Rider, take out the Torrential Gear Hulk.
Okay. These removal spells looking pretty good. I actually don't know if I like casting that there, because we know that Greg has a Chupacabra in hand, and Chupacabra is...
Yeah, just Chupacabra the thing. Yeah,
why get cute? You get a 2/2. Like, it's the best Chupacabra's going to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would cast Chupacabra there.
I agree. So, regardless, here we see the end step Dig Through Time from Nick. He's got no cards in hand, so he gets to look at 7 cards and take the best 2 among them. But he's got no cards in his graveyard anymore as well.
Usually, I would say, when one player gets to snap Caster Mage, Fat Caster Mage, Torrential Gear Hulk, the big boy, Dig Through Time multiple times in a game, they're going to be ahead. But these Planeswalkers are doing a lot of work for Greg.
They are.
There's a lot of permanents that have been picked up for free. That Search for His Kanta. Not that Liliana, because that was a 2-for-1, but like the Search for His Kanta. One of these Torrential Gear Hulks just wasn't a 2-for-1 because it cast a spell and then got eaten by a Vivian, right?
Yeah. Greg's done a pretty good job of turning his non-cards into action. He's still been stuck with this Ravenous Chupacabra all game.
Yep.
That hasn't really had any notable effect, unfortunately, but... So, I think Nick found another Torrential Gear Hulk, and I believe his other card is Drown in the Lock. So...
Oh boy, that's a good 2-mana counterspell. The split card counterspell murder plus Torrential Gear Hulk is
quite good.
Pretty darn good.
Quite good. So Nick's just gonna go ahead and use his Evolving Wilds now. Send it back over to Greg.
Yep.
So here comes 2-mana Collective Brutality.
One thing that's interesting, I've not seen a counterspell out of Nick yet, and a counterspell would have solved a lot of these problems.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see one now. So Drown in the Lock is going to destroy Murderous Rider, and then Nick gets duressed and shows Greg the bad news. Another Torrential Gear Hulk.
Yep.
Of course, Vivian does not have 5 loyalty yet, so it will perish to the Torrential Gear Hulk attack.
Yeah,
there's
probably a Murderous Rider that's getting played, right?
Yeah, but you know, with the Torrential Gear Hulk comes with a nice removal spell
if you want,
because of this Drown in the Lock. So we need 2 creatures to be able to prevent that. Here's just a Woodland Cemetery. Probably not what Greg was looking for here. I think he probably wanted to find some action.
Yeah.
So I think this turn he's probably going to want to cast multiple creatures to be able to protect his Vivian from the Torrential Gear Hulk. And, well, Scavenging Ooze. This one might prompt a response from Nick.
Certainly.
If we don't cast our Torrential Gear Hulk now... And, I mean, we can just counter the Scavenging Ooze with the Drown in the Lock, right? Like,
but there's also
we still get a kill spell out of it.
Though.
So...
There's also a Dig Through Time in the graveyard, and it might be better to just do that.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see.
I assume that the Scavenging Ooze is on the stack here, and we're gonna have to think about what Nick wants to do. It's definitely Gear Hulk time. The question is, are we flashing back Drown in the Lock or Dig Through Time? It looks like Nick's going with Dig Through Time.
Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of removal spells in your deck, most likely, and
definitely
it's just good to get your value when you can. Like, keep this Torrential Gear Hulk chain going.
This chain looks pretty ridiculous. I mean, what is this, the 3rd time? This is going to be the 6th Dig Through Time for Nick this game?
Yeah,
how is this game close?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Why is this game even remotely close? Like, this is the 6th Dig Through Time. 3 of them have came with free 5/6s. Like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
This is absurd.
Something that is worth noting, there's a Vrask Contempt that looks pretty good here.
I think there's another Drown in the Lock with the Scavenging Ooze still on the stack. We could potentially
just counter it. Yeah. One thing that's nice, I did get a chance to look through Nick's deck before the round. He has a one of Scarab God to really just close off those long games.
That one sounds sweet right now.
And it would be real good here, especially if that Scavenging Ooze dies, and then you get to play a Scarab God and activate it, twice if he hits a couple land drops?
Yeah, the Scavenging Ooze is kind of a host to that, but
yeah.
I didn't get a great look at what Nick grabbed, but we'll see if anything comes out here now. All right, looks like nothing yet. Here is the Ravenous Chupacabra, so this one's going to go ahead and take out the Torrential Gearhulk. Greg certainly saw this sequence of events coming.
Yeah, well sequenced.
Scavenging Ooze is definitely going to bait out the Ravenous Chupacabra. So here we'll have, in response to the Ravenous Chupacabra, Fatal Push your Scavenging Ooze. So that was one of the spells that Nick took. And then the Torrential Gearhulk will die. This will prevent Greg from gaining a life and exiling his Torrential Gearhulk. So
I honestly I'll be honest with you, Ox, I don't know what I'm seeing. Like, I just watched Torrential Gearhulk flashback dig through time, and then Greg played a spell, passed back to his opponent, and he just had one card in hand, and Greg is just, like, massively ahead on board. Like,
I would not say massively ahead on board.
That's
I mean,
fair.
he just has a
he did when he had the Vivian, but then the Vivian got contempted. He untapped and had a contempt.
Oh, speaking of Stubborn Denial, it's actually in the deck?
No, it's Disallow.
Oh, that's Disallow, excuse me.
They do look quite similar.
Disallow makes quite a bit more sense. Of course, you're just going to go ahead and let the Thoughtseize resolve, to your opponent for basically free there. And here we'll see a Castle Vantress activation, so Nick going to dig for some more action.
Yep. And Greg's creatures that are also 2-power creatures, removal spells that are also 2-power creatures, looking very good here when he had a chance to, after he has a chance to deploy them. Just getting his 2 for once.
He did find a time to Ravenous Chupacabra down a Torrential Gearhulk, so, we criticized him a little bit for Murderous Ridering one earlier instead of Gearhulking it, but it ended up working out just fine. Yeah. He's fully now realized his value between his Murderous Riders. He's got the creature half on both sides played now. So, there it is. The Scarab Boy.
There it is. I believe there actually... Is there a Ravenous Chupacabra in Greg's Graveminder? Because that's a good...
I don't know. I'm not certain. Regardless of what Greg has in his graveyard, if it's any creature spell, which there certainly are some, it's going to be really good. Even if Greg has an answer to the Scarab God, Nick's going to be able to get a 4/4 out of the deal. Potentially with some other text as well. And Greg's going to have to read this one. Apparently, it's been a while.
And also, Scarab God's pretty hard to answer.
So here's Liliana Last Hope. This doesn't really do anything now. So Liliana Last Hope can -2, and if Nick wants to reanimate something, he'll have to do it in response to the -2. Not, he won't be able to wait for Greg to target anything like that. So, if there's something he wants to get back, like, say, Scavenging Ooze, because Scavenging Ooze is definitely the best card in Greg's graveyard here. Oh, it just resolved? Oh, no.
Well, he flipped a second Scavenging Ooze anyway.
Yeah, he flipped a second Scavenging Ooze anyway, but still, I think Nick really wanted to take a moment there and take that Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah.
It looks like there might have been a little bit of confusion here between the players with that exact interaction we just established. So Liliana's -2 ability is all one thing, so there's no target or anything like that. So if you want to activate the Scarab God, you do need to do so before the -2 resolves and the player puts the top 2 cards in their graveyard.
And to clarify, every spell or ability works like this.
Yeah.
If you pay a cost and there's an asterisk or it's the mana cost on a card, everything on that card is going to happen before either player has a chance to do anything. So whether it's down taking loyalty, whether it's paying the Scarab God cost, exiling the creature, the exiling the creature, creating a token, and that's a 4/4 zombie both happen. That kind of stuff.
Yep. So anyway, we'll see how the game progresses from here. Greg took the Scavenging Ooze. He could have taken a Ravenous Chupacabra there and tried to, shoot down that Scarab God.
But it comes right back.
Yeah, it looks like we saw the game end. I'm not entirely certain why that game just ended. Was Greg just dead? I think that was a concession from Greg.
Yeah, I believe Greg was just dead because what's going to happen here is his opponent, he's at 7, right?
Oh, I guess you Scarab God back
Chupacabra,
the Chupacabra.
get rid of a blocker.
Yeah.
And then trigger on the stack, get 2 to 3 more creatures back.
Yeah,
that
another Chupacabra.
Life.
And then you can get the other Chupacabra that you Chupacabra
like
down.
Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, that's really sick, actually. So you can actually remove all the blockers, force Greg to lose 2 life.
Yeah, let's play by play what that looked like. It was activate Scarab God, get your Ravenous Chupacabra, kill your Ravenous Chupacabra,
untap,
activate Scarab God, get another 4/4 Ravenous Chupacabra, kill another thing,
kill
resolve
your
my
Murderous
trigger.
Rider.
Yeah, kill your Murderous Rider, resolve my trigger, scry some, hit you for damage, kill you.
Yeah.
Now let's get into this.
Let's take a look at the sideboard. So, over on Greg's side, we have 1 Fatal Push, 1 Find Finality, 1 Distended Mindbender, 1 Ashiok Dreamrender, 1 Legion's End, 3 Leyline of the Void, 1 Golden Demise, 1 Reclamation Sage, 1 Emrakul the Promised End, 1 Noxious Grasp, 1 Sorcerous Spyglass, 1 Reaper of the Wilds, and 1 Garrick Cursed Huntsman in true binder fashion. That's a lot
He
of
was
one-ups.
not kidding. That's
Yeah,
one drops.
that looks like a binder.
Luckily, a lot of them look pretty good here.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So I like fine finality. The finality part, not good.
Pretty medium.
We do not want it to give -4 to all our opponent's creatures. If our opponent has a bunch of 4/4s from the Scarab God, not going to be good enough. But the fine, get back 2 creatures for 2 mana. Very powerful when your creatures are stuff like Murderous Rider, Ravenous Chupacabra, so that card probably gets boarded out. Tireless Tracker, Scavenging
Absolutely.
Ooze.
There's a lot of
Very
hits.
Good. Good old 2-for-1.
Yeah, Distended Mindbender. Ooh,
Yep.
yeah.
That card, that trigger resolves even if your card gets countered.
It's a cast trigger, yep.
Yep. Legion's End looking bad. Golden Demise against aggro bad. Reclamation Stage, though it does kill Search for Skanta and Gearhulk, definitely better than Ravenous Chupacabra if you have a lot of cards.
Yeah, it could be an upgrade.
But probably bad. Emerald Promised End, though, definitely coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Sorceress Spyglass. He doesn't know much about his
I
opponent's
didn't
deck,
see any
but
Planeswalkers other than the Liliana the Last Hope, so I'm probably pretty tempted to leave that one in the board.
it does hit Azcanta, and the Scarab God. But Reap of the Wilds should definitely come in. Another threat. Provides some scrying.
Yeah, Garrett.
Hard to deal with, right? It gives itself like hexproof or something.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and then Garrett Cursed Huntsman as a removal spell for some of the creatures.
It's also just another Planeswalker that generates value.
Yeah, makes
so
a bunch of 2/2s, all that gas.
Let's take a look at Nick's sideboard here. Nick has 3 Moment of Craving, 3 Noxious Grasp, 3 Drown in Sorrow, 2 Pithing Needle, 1 Aether Gust, and 3 Negate.
This is a really clean sideboard.
Much cleaner than the other side of the table. So I'm pretty into
Noxious Grasp, right? It kills green creatures, and that Scavenging Ooze, Tireless Tracker,
Vivian,
Vivian,
yeah.
Nissa. Yeah, you definitely want
Noxious Grasp for sure.
It is reasonable to note that sometimes not going to be very good because they have black creatures, but all their best cards against you are green.
Yep, absolutely.
In fact, all the best cards in this format are green, even though a bunch of them have been
Even though
banned.
they've all been banned. I'm also reasonably into the Aether Gust for similar reasons.
Yeah, not quite as high on it personally, but
yeah, if we have stuff to cut, I'm willing to put it in, but it's not.
But it does seem worse than like Fatal Pushes and stuff, right? Against like potential Grim Flares, Scavenging Uses,
likely.
Like that. And then how do you feel about Negate? There are some pretty high impact cards out of Greg's sideboard.
I would bring in a couple. Yeah. I think Negate definitely gets much better in these post-board games where, Greg's presumably bringing in like Duress, some extra thought, some extra hand disruption, and some extra non-creature haymakers.
Yeah.
Negate tends to get better in post-board games, but interestingly enough, I want to talk a little bit about the general sideboard plan. We see Greg's sideboard that definitely has a go bigger plan, whereas Nick's sideboard definitely really only had a go smaller plan.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the story of what you want to be doing in this matchup, and also was the story of game 1 where Nick went bigger and Nick ended up winning because he went bigger, but now Greg's kind of gone up as well.
Definitely.
He's definitely gotten much bigger as well, so we'll see if Greg has the tools to play ball, and he was really close to winning last game despite Nick. I thought he was certainly going to win for multiple turns there, and I was preparing my inner monologue on talking about how the hell we saw Nick lose a game where he resolved 7 dig through times or whatever. But
he managed to pull out, but
Nick
was close.
It was very close.
He scried that Scarab God to the talk with Castle Vantress, right? He had to see it.
Yeah.
He needed to see it there. He did not get a bunch of looks. He did get a bunch of looks at that card, but it's not like he resolved it dig through time and slammed it.
And granted, there are quite a few cards that he probably would have left on top of his deck. I think there's some Hieroglyphic Illuminations in this pile too, or something he probably would have been happy to see, but still,
none of them would have done that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Scarab God was the card that won the game, and Greg was probably an untap or 2 away from running away with it.
Certainly. And I think the most crucial thing about that game was still that turn 1 Thoughtseize. It was just letting him craft with perfect information. I know you're going to cast a Gearhulk on this turn. I'm not going to attack a land into it. I know that I'm playing this Abrupt Decay on this Search for Azcanta. The whole game got to be planned out from the first turn.
Looks like here is pre-game Leyline of the Void, and then start things off with Forest and Llanowar Elves. I mean, I get it. We saw a bunch of Torrential Gearhulks and Dig Through Times and all that, and Scarab God. I don't hate the Llanowar Elf, that's for sure.
The Leyline.
Excuse me, the Leyline of the Void. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Off to the races. Greg is that first game. Not gonna let you do that.
Write that one off. Yeah. Write that one off. Is that a? No, I must have misseen. For some reason, I thought I saw a Cataclysmic Gearhulk in
their hands. Yeah.
in Nick's hand, obviously that's just a Torrential Gearhulk, so... Pithing Needle as well in here for Nick. That's definitely one of those ones that I was going to say I can get behind as well. From the sideboard. Here's another Torrential Gearhulk off the top. And I think Nick's digging for land here.
Yeah.
And if he does find it, so that's pretty important, but he is still going to need to find more lands. He doesn't have an answer to this Leyline of the Void. These Torrential Gearhulks look pretty bad. He's got a dig through time in his hand as well. Pithing Needle.
Answers to the card Leyline of the Void in a blue-black deck are few and far between.
Yeah, like, the best answer I can think of is Brazen Borrower.
Yeah. And that's probably decent, but it didn't look like he had any.
Yeah, I'm not certain that he has any either. That's where I'm at. So here comes Pithing Needle. We'll have to get production to let us know what gets named here.
I'm going to guess that it's not that Scavenging Ooze that is currently pretty bad.
I don't know. I think that Greg's likely going to respond to this Pithing Needle by exiling his own Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, and at that point, it would be
it's certainly not going to be that. But, get your 1 damage in. So we'll have production let us know what that Pithing Needle is naming. I assume it's just going to be Vivian Reed. I think Vivian Reed is probably the most impactful card here. And maybe that's my recency bias talking, but it looks like Nick did name Vivian Reed, so...
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, tend to agree with that decision.
Get that land. Slapping that land on the table from Greg.
Here's just attack for 4, you know. Greg's got his plan.
Yep.
All right, so here is end of turn opt. It'll stay on top, and then a couple of draws.
So he does only have two cards in hand, right? So if these creatures die, the fact that this Leyline of Void put him down a card to essentially slow his opponent down might turn up costing him. Still 2 cards in hand, and still Nick is still getting beat down.
Yeah, he's got attacks for 4 here.
Yeah.
Greg has a Scavenging Ooze in his hand. He's going to go ahead and deploy it on his second main phase and then ship the turn back over to Nick. Disallow the draw, so that's a pretty good one, but doesn't impact the board. These is 6 damage. Yeah, this is 6 damage, yeah. I mean, if you just, jam, right?
Blue-black decks don't commonly have sweepers, which is something you'd be afraid of.
Emrakul was the draw for Greg.
Something you'd be afraid of if you were playing against a blue-white deck.
Nick needed a land here to be able to hit the Torrential Gearhulk to be able to stabilize, but he bricks on it, and that is the story of game number 2. Greg just runs him over.
That Pithing Needle looked pretty bad, and that's kind of just because of the way the particular draw lined up, but I don't love Pithing Needles in this matchup, I don't think.
It is another answer to Vivian and Nissa or whatever, so... Also has text against Scavenging Ooze, at least some. Your graveyard matters, so Pithing Needling Scavenging Ooze does seem relevant at some point, so... Yeah.
7 cards in Nick's hand at the end of that game were 3 Dissolve, 3 Torrential Gearhulk.
And a Dig Through Time.
Yeah. I'm surprised why you see those Dissolves cast. Was there just never an opportunity?
He just drew them one after another. It might not have been triple Dissolve, I think it was only 2, and he drew them on the last 2 turns of the game where Greg just attack for 6 on tap, attack for 6, so he didn't give him a target, but definitely somewhat interesting. We'll see if players decide to change their sideboard plan at all here, play draw difference. There's a notable absence of duress in Greg's deck.
Sideboard. Yep.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen a black deck without duress on their sideboard.
Yeah.
And I think Greg's probably feeling it right now.
That trade binder wishing it had a few more copies.
Wishing it had a few more copies of Duress in his binder. Yeah, sure. I think he mostly scavenged this deck together from his modern Jund deck, and unfortunately, Duress nowhere to be seen in modern sideboards. But if Standard and Pioneer, I imagine Duress is still going to be hanging around for quite some time. No Inquisition of Kozilek or anything quite the like here. I've even seen quite a few main deck Duress in Pioneer.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet.
That might be a symptom of people not having Thoughtseize. Were they main decking 4 Thoughtseize and multiple Duress?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Hand Disruption is hell of a plan. Without Inquisition and wanting more than 4 Hand Disruption, I can definitely see it.
Yeah, it was mostly variants of the mono black deck that were trying to... Basically, it was an adaptation that I saw the mono black aggro lists making after mono black had become the best deck and when people were trying to combat it. I saw some main deck copies of Duress coming in to fight the hate that people were bringing against mono black, and that was sense. In the form of extra Legion's Ends against even mono green. It deals with Nissa or whatever, and that was another common way that people were fighting it. But
something that I would really like to see printed into Standard and I guess by Sedge and Pioneer is an Inquisitionist Claws-like style card, maybe that hits 4 or greater, just to like put a damper on some of these really good combo decks. But that's a game design thing.
Yeah, whatever. That's a problem for another day.
Better white cards. That's what I want. I love the color white. I love playing green-white decks, Bant decks. That's my jam. But boy, has white just not been very good lately. All the best white cards are blue. I'll play my Spellquellers and my Teferis, but
They're all. It's so true. I mean, even in a like cube, like vintage cube, I have a common hot take that your best mono white cards are blue.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Reflector Mage, Spell Queller. Big fan of Merfolk Looter and Looter Ilkor in the mono white decks.
Yeah. Like quick pop quiz about Pioneer. Name a good white card. Thalia Heretic.
Yeah, there just aren't very many floating around. Like the best white cards are like.
It has to be mono white, right?
Yeah, it's like has to be mono white. So probably like Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah, our production team thinks that Elspeth's Sun's Champion is that white card, and I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, we're off that one.
There are a lot better things happening for 6-man in this format than Elspeth. That card is not particularly good against, like, you know, the Nexuses and Kethuses of the world, and is a little too late against
true.
aggro. It wins the game, but kind of slowly.
Quite slowly.
Yeah, it's like...
Quite slowly. All right, regardless, we digress. It's time to move on here. Looks like both players kept their 7-card hands. Here's a Temple of Deceit to lead things off. Nick does have some gates in his hand, so we're going to see him now.
Turn 1 Thoughtseize. Oh, yeah.
So here is Negate, Blink of an Eye, Opt, and 2 lands.
I don't think that's Blink of an Eye, right?
I think it is. Maybe it's Vraska's Contempt?
And Opt. Is Vraska's Contempt?
Yeah, it's Vraska's Contempt. Yeah. All right. Well, I could only see the little ghost silhouette, so it looks like Blink of an Eye.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
Yeah. You're right. It is Vraska's Contempt. So it looks like the Vraska's Contempt going to hit the bin. Greg, no coward. He's not scared of these negates. All right.
Yeah. I'm just going to say one more thing about Elspeth. I'm still on this. Would you rather plus your 6-mana Planeswalker for 3 power across 3 bodies?
Oh god, here's the elk thing.
Or
I can already tell where we're going here.
For 3 power.
Yeah. Elks are good. Yeah.
The best white creatures are all elk. Thraben Inspector. That's
true.
A decent white card.
Oh yeah, I think Thraben Inspector actually might be the best one. Maybe Thalia's Lieutenant.
Yeah, I mean, but like we also don't have the best cards. Mantis Rider is pretty sweet. I played a very nice 4-color human stack, 5-color human stack recently.
That deck was a pile.
Definitely got nostalgia getting to go. Turn 1 Thraben Inspector.
You know, you didn't have any always watchings, so I'm off that.
That's fair, but I did get to Collected Company into multiple Mantis Riders on more than one. I got the go to combat, bolt your Mantis Rider, Collected Company into another Mantis Rider, Thalia's attack you for 8.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh god, the Mantis Rider survived? Oh no.
Yeah, Mantis Rider survived.
Oh, that's so gross.
Yup.
Alright. So, quick update on game state. We've seen not too much go on. Players hitting land drops, Scavenging Ooze, and Llanowar Elves, the plays here from Greg's side of the field, whereas just lands over on Nick's side. Obviously, he's still got those negates that he's holding up that Greg knows about, so we'll see if Greg wants to try and jam any threats into those. Greg has 4 mana currently. I believe he has a land to play, so we'll see if he ends up doing that. Just an attack for 2 here. Once again, not a super fast clock. I'm not certain that Greg has another land to play.
I don't know. The Scavenging Ooze plus Llanowar Elf was good enough last game.
It's true. It's true. They did beat.
Yeah.
Although I do believe, I'm not certain that Greg has another land. If he doesn't have another land, that's quite a problem.
You know what feels kind of silly about this format? This is a side note.
Yeah.
I was thinking about building a Collected Company deck.
All right.
I was like, I like the card Collected Company. Card's very good. Then I was like, but I want to play this card Teferi. This card Oko is quite good. Maybe a better plan for my Bant Flash deck is like Frilled Mystics and Nightpack Ambushers than Collected Company. Because I want to play Once Upon a Time.
We need hits.
4 Okos, 4 Teferis.
Yeah, we
play
just
with my Spellquellers.
It's just not enough hits already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. All right.
I do like Once Upon a Times that find counter spells.
So we have Tireless Tracker. Greg does not play his land for that turn, but does untap and find one. So he's going to go ahead and attack for 7 after cracking a clue to put a counter on his Tireless Tracker. That's half Nick's life total.
That's a clock.
Yep.
Also, I was thinking about this Pioneer deck last week before the card Once Upon a Time got banned, which I now remember and I'm happy about because it means I get to put Collect Accompany my deck. Back to the match.
That's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, with only 4 lands...
No, he's got 5. He's cracking
and
a
5
Evolving
lands.
Wilds here.
Facing down, what, 4
7?
or 5 cards from Greg? 7 power?
Yeah.
This is not looking great. After that convincing win game 1, it looks like this green-black deck might just be able to dismantle Nick post-board.
Yeah, I mean, these negates look pretty silly right now, right? I mean, our opponent has to cast a spell that we can negate other than the turn 1 Thoughtseize, which obviously we can't negate.
Yeah,
and triple negate, double dig through time means that that's not going to do it. And yeah, that was kind of the tale of 2 sideboard games that were determined by situational sideboard cards lining up poorly and then Nick just dying because of it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to wonder what those negates came in for. You know, if those 3 negates were
Fatal Push.
2 Fatal Push and something else, you know, he probably would have just won that game handily. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think that Nick certainly left in some removal spells, but I can't imagine that he didn't trim a couple removal spells expecting Greg to go bigger, and Greg kind of just hit him with the beat saver every time.
That's really the story of mid-range versus control, because we were talking
sometimes that just happens,
Yeah, in like a rock, paper, scissors aggro mid-range control, usually the rule of thumb is that your control deck sideboard is a pretty good control deck, and you have a lot of cards in your sideboard for aggro. We see Nick Drown in Sorrow, 2-mana removal spells, Legion's End, stuff like that, where the mid-range is ready to go bigger in mid-range mirrors against control decks. But there's this tension when you're playing against a mid-range deck, like, am I going to lose the game because my opponent resolves Vivian on turn 5, or because they resolve a 2/2 on turn 2? And trying to figure out exactly what you're doing is part of what makes building and playing control decks hard.
Very intricate. Yeah, and you know, we like I mentioned, Nick definitely lost this game with multiple sideboard cards in his hand, both games.
Certainly.
And it's rough because you want your sideboard cards to be the most impactful cards in your matchup, and you know, you feel like when you draw 3 sideboard cards in the first 10, even in the first 5 turns of the game, you feel like you want to be winning. Yeah, but he kind of got branched, to be honest. Yeah, so
interesting. A very nice classic Magic going on there. Like we said, best of hits, classic blue-black against Golgari. Very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. It's here at KGW 90. Bringing you the best Magic the Gathering cards from the last decade. Oh yeah.
Was Return to Ravnica 10 years ago?
No.
Something like that, right?
It couldn't have been. It's probably about 7 or 8 years. Right.
I think we need a fact check on that, because I thought Pioneer was kind of like the half of Magic.
Well, I started playing in Theros, and Theros was 7 years ago, and I believe that RTR was the set before that.
Okay, so it was like 7-8 years ago.
So it should have been 7 or 8 years. So I actually have a pretty good clock on that one.
Yeah, that's fair. This is the Modern is 7 or 8 years old. Modern got made, and then is now 14 years of sets, and now let's cut that in half, take half.
Pretty much. Chat, it was RTR was 2012, so exactly 7 years ago. Looks like fall 2012 according to production. So we're almost exactly 7 years ago. So look, my internal clock's working. And now I just gotta wait for menopause.
Well done. All right. I think that with 10 minutes left in the round, Pioneer matches go reasonably quick.
Yeah, so I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor for the night, Advancify. Advancify is the best in the business for IT web design and data recovery. If you're in the Bellingham area or even the greater Seattle area and you need anything tech related, go to Advancify. They're super nice, very friendly. Any tech problems you have, really, at all, just send them an email. They're going to be more than happy to help. They support the stream, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to be here doing the things we're doing. So thank you so much to Advancify for supporting the stream. We're going to leave you guys with some capacity. We'll see if we can find another match. If we can't, we'll be back for the next round. Regardless, we will not be gone for very long, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Alrighty. Hello, and welcome back for the third and final round. Tonight, here at Paradise Games Thursday Night Pioneer, we have Nathan on Is It Wizards and Bryant playing Bant Company. We have successfully made it to the final round without having any repeat decks on camera.
Love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
pretty into that.
Good turnout tonight. Very clean 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
I gotta say, Alex, there's 2 things I love in Magic. Their tempo and Bant creature decks, so I'm really excited about this one.
This one looks sweet. And to address a couple comments in chat, we got Avis Pizza. What are you guys planning on playing for the face-to-face tournament this weekend, and what deck do you think is overhyped right now? So quick background. Face-to-face games open tournament this weekend, Saturday, December, what's tomorrow? The 7th?
Yeah.
So...
No, it's not tomorrow. It's 2 days from now, right? Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. So Saturday the 7th, that's a modern tournament. What are you planning on playing, Noble?
So I actually, well, first off, cool tournament. It's like open structure, lots of cash prizes, and an invite on the line. So basically a really big MCQ.
Yep, I believe it's like 5K in cash.
The last MCQ that I was allowed to play in was the one that I won to get to this most recent Pro Tour. A little bit of humble brag. And that was a modern MCQ, and I played Amulet Titan, and I think I'm just going to run it back, see if I can go 2 for 2. Amulet Titan felt really good a while ago, and it still feels pretty good right now. I honestly haven't played a ton of the format, but Amulet Titan is a pretty inherently powerful deck, doing a lot of good things. It got Oko in Once Upon a Time since I last played it. And while some other decks have gotten better, it's just the deck I know. And in Modern, I'm a big believer in just like doing the thing you know, and I've been playing Bant Collected Company and Amulet Titan in Modern basically for the last like 4 years.
Yeah,
pretty exclusively, and a little bit of Burn, but does that really count?
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, so... I'm not entirely certain what I'm playing yet. I'm probably going to either play just the blue-green Oko Urza deck.
Yeah, all right, you
or
decker.
Yeah, I could be convinced to play some Grixis Death Shadow, but I think I'm kind of off that. I'm playing around a little bit with the Bant control list, the blue-white Splash Oko control list. I don't know. I'm pretty familiar with the blue-white decks in Modern in general, and I just like the archetype, and yeah, I like playing with Oko, and it seems pretty sweet, so... I could easily end up on that, but I'm planning on doing some more testing tonight and tomorrow to really end up there. I'm not certain what I think is overhyped, actually, because...
Grixis Death Shadow, let me tell you, I think that deck is bad and has always been bad. That's a hot take, but you asked for one.
All right, let's take a moment, unwind from that, and catch up on the match so far. So we've got... Bant Company playing creatures, and we have Is It Wizards playing spells and Storm Chaser Rage.
Yep. All right.
This has been it for breaking news. Back to
Grixis Death Shadow.
Back to Grixis Death Shadow.
If you're gonna be listen. If you're gonna be this like mid-range tempo deck, I at least want consistency and more than 7 threats. Anyway,
bang.
Okay.
Wizards Lightning your tireless tracker. Cha-ching.
Oh yeah, get some prowess triggers.
Yeah, we got a little Soulscar Mage action going on right now. We're missing an Adelies here, so we can really go off. But
Nathan making the perhaps wise choice to use wizards instead of dragons to turn on his counterspell in this format. Wizard's Retort as opposed to Silumgar's
Scorn. Silumgar's Scorn is pretty sick. What about Foul Tongue Invocation?
That's the card's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, we have a lot better.
Taking out the Llanowar Elf there as opposed to the Tireless Tracker is Nathan. That's a pretty interesting choice with the Courser of Crufix in play.
That's certainly true. Like, we're going to be hitting those land drops.
Yeah, it looks like...
No. So I think he missed a land drop, right?
No, he didn't. He just played the planes off the top of his deck.
No. Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
But he has 3 lands, and there was a Collected Company on top of his deck.
Yeah, so Nathan's really
like...
hoping he just didn't have a land.
Yeah.
So... Makes sense, I suppose. So Brian's gonna have to take 1 point of damage from this breeding pool to enter untapped, and big shock on what Brian's turn's gonna be. I'm guessing it's going to be Hold Up Collected Company. Awkwardly enough, if you don't, or notably enough, if you spend your mana on things that aren't Collected Company this turn, you get to draw into the second one. Because otherwise, if you cast the Collected Company, you know that you're going to just be slapping that Collected Company on the bottom of your deck. And that's not the best thing ever. I mean, I kind of want to draw the second one.
And also, Collected Company decks do strike a fine line between copies of Collected Company, interaction, and creatures you want to hit off Collected Company and lands.
Definitely.
And a for sure miss on your Collected Company when it only looking at 5 cards, ideally, and...
Does get much worse. Yeah, and putting a company on the bottom. And, notably, you thinking Bryant shouldn't cast it. I think... Assuming Bryant has a good turn that isn't Collected Company, I agree. But I think his turn would probably be like Fleecemane Lion, crack a clue.
Does he have Fleecemane Lion?
I think he has a Fleecemane Lion in his hand. I think I saw that. And that's... Yeah, I don't know. At that quality of a turn, I'm kind of waffling.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Finale of Promise on Crash
man.
Brew.
And Opt. 3 prowess triggers here.
4 mana, draw 3 cards, get 3 prowess triggers.
Yeah, I mean, so this is 3 mana here. Here comes the Opt first. I do believe that this is the wrong order to resolve these spells in, by the way. You do want to resolve your Crash Through first and then your Opt, because you get more information with the card that you have to draw, and then you get to make a decision on the card that you don't have to draw, versus the other way. So
that looked like a pretty bad Collected Company hit to me. I did not see any white and blue cards, and those are usually your best
I think
ones.
I would have liked to have seen the Collected Company in response to the finale, honestly. So if we find a Spell Queller, we get to save 2 prowess triggers. Our opponent doesn't draw 2 cards, and then if they go and kill the Spell Queller, the finale X's 0 is just error, right? It just doesn't do anything. So looks like Bryant does at least have some options here he's considering. So I think there's a Llanowar Elf in there. That's the only one I saw, so hopefully we can find something better than Llanowar Elf right now.
He luckily wouldn't be thinking this hard if there was no hits.
Yeah, I mean, if there were just 2 cards, you just put them into play, right? But looks like Llanowar, reconsidering.
It looks like a Colonian Tusker, but I'm crazy.
I think this is Wildborn Preserver and Tireless Tracker's the one under it?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, Tireless Tracker. Yeah, so looks like Bryant's just going to go ahead and chump away the Tireless Tracker and leave the Wildborn Preserver in play. That's a nice 2/2 with reach. That's pretty nice. But here we see Bryant all the way down to 6. He took a big hit off that Storm Chaser Mage.
Yeah.
So
Gonna flip over a land here. Ooh. Brazen Borrower is a good card on top of the deck.
Yeah, having it on top of the deck is also quite good with this clue sitting here in play. Means that we can represent an unsummon here. But looks like we're just going to cast some spells. Looks like we're going to Llanowar Elf 4 counters onto Wildborn Preserver. And he's just getting it in there. Kill you.
Yep.
Sick.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's a pretty sick turn. Wildborn Preserver really kind of showing what's up there. So let's go ahead and take a look at these sideboards as we see Bryant with 3 Mystical Dispute, 1 Knight of Autumn, 2 Night Pack Ambusher, 4 Ojutai's Command, 3 Conclave Tribunal, and 2 Deputy of Detention. What sounds good to you here?
Well, our opponent's playing blue, and quite a bit of it, so I think these Mystical Disputes are a slam dunk.
Tend to agree.
Knight of Autumn doesn't seem great. Night Pack Ambusher also doesn't seem great.
I'm into these Conclave Tribunals, I think.
Yeah, you like the Conclave Tribunals?
Yeah, I think they're much better than Deputy of Detention. We've seen our opponent has Wizard's Lightning and stuff like that. They're playing red. They have access to plenty of removal spells post board against our creature deck. But I do think Conclave Tribunal, we'll get to basically ramp out some free, some cheap and or free removal spells on Nathan's presumably threat light deck, and that can easily swing a race.
For sure.
And it looks like this is probably just going to be a race like we saw end up in the first game.
Yeah. Looking at Is It Wizards, there's 4 Wizards Retort in the sideboard, which I'm a little surprised at, honestly. Mystical Dispute looks good against your opponent's Spell Quellers and Reflector Mages, and Mystical Disputes from them. Wizards Retort could be good. I'm not quite sure about it. You really want to counter the card Collected Company, but at the end of the day, Brian's also playing stuff like Voice of Resurgence.
Yeah, I mean, Spell Pierce probably just does a better job at that than Wizard's Retort, right?
Yeah, but
for the most part.
But you get to counter creatures like when
it's true. It's true. It's actually a counter spell or whatnot.
A Braid definitely won't.
Yeah, the Fiery Cannonade awkwardly doesn't hit most of Bryant's creatures.
Yeah, a lot of 2/3s.
It hits Llanowar Elves and it hits Voice of Resurgence, but that might just be it. There's it doesn't hit Spell Queller, doesn't hit Fleecemane Lion, doesn't hit Courser. I guess it can hit Tireless Tracker most of the time.
Doesn't hit Fleecemane Lion?
Yeah, I think I like the Young Pyromancers as well. Try and, block down the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And, try and win the race in the air. That seems like a pretty good plan to me. And I don't think that Bryant has too many real plans for removing Young Pyromancer in the, a banned creature deck either. So I quite enjoy that plan.
Yeah, get a lot of chumps in, and then be able to finish your game out with the Storm Chaser Mage, which, as we saw last game, was what almost won the game for Nathan.
Yeah, notably the Wildborn Preserver does just have reach, so even if Bryant couldn't find lethal there, he probably was going to have very close to it, or he was at least going to have another block in the tank there. So, and even if he wasn't attacking with the 6/6 with reach or whatever, it was going to be a problem for Nathan to get rid of, I assume.
Certainly.
Yeah, we're really just kind of looking for more copies of Adeliz the Cinderwind here, I think, in this post-board game. Adeliz is pretty absurd if you have more than one wizard in play. Yeah. It just you start getting double prowess triggers on your Soulscar Mage. Yeah.
10 more.
Oh, more than that usually, yeah.
Oh, right, because it's 3 triggers.
It's 3 triggers.
Mage and Adeliz, right, is like 3 triggers to the 7 powers. It's like 11. Yeah.
It's even more than that. Well, yeah. So you have the 3 power in play plus the 3 power in play plus 9 power from prowess triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. You just 12 them.
Yeah.
Not to mention you draw 2 cards or whatever.
And they have trample.
Yeah, and they have trample. Ugh. Gross. Alright. Well, let's see if Nathan can manage to steal this second game away from Bryant. Being on the play seems pretty important here for Nathan, and he did stumble on his mana a little bit in the first few turns of the game. We saw him playing tap lands and casting ops to try and hit land drops early on, so instead of deploying threats and attacking. So those couple early turns that Nathan spent trying to make sure he developed potentially cost him in that race there. But
certainly
looks like Bryant's gonna go ahead and take a quick mulligan to 6 here. Nathan looks happy with his hand. It looks like I saw a Warlord's Fury. I believe I saw a Gitu Lava Runner as well in hand. So that's definitely one of those cheap, hasty wizards. This wizard's deck certainly looking to be aggressive as opposed to what you might expect out of some older format wizards decks, which can tend to try and play a much longer game.
Snapcaster Mage Wizard Report kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm mostly thinking Legacy type deal, where Legacy in particular, you get a bunch of utility wizards, a bunch of old ones. So.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And for some reason, that's the wizard's archetype I have the most experience playing against is Legacy Wizards, because we had a local player who played Legacy Wizard Tribal. It's been a while since I've played against it, to be honest. But
luckily, there's this young Pyromancer that we saw from the sideboard, and it
looks quite good right now.
Decent disposition. Yeah. I'm not going to say take over the game because that might be a little hasty, but
well, I don't know. I might be there, depending on the content of Nathan's hands. I think we could easily be there. Looks like Bryant debating if he wants to play another spell, but looks like he just plays Reading Pool tapped and then says go here,
is
holding
young
up.
Pyromancer a wizard?
Young Pyromancer is a. I don't know.
Dreadhorde Arcanist
update. I don't know. Dreadhorde Arcanist, certainly a wizard.
Yeah.
That one just comes in. No spells here from Nathan. Just another tapped land. So Nathan's just kind of setting up for a very explosive next turn if Bryant doesn't have any good answers this turn. So
it's a shaman. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was
human shaman. So not a wizard, unfortunately. I assume we would have seen it in the main deck were it a wizard.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and see what Bryant wants to do. He's got a Voice of Resurgence pulled to the front of his hand. He can put some counters on his Wildborn Preserver if he wants to. That seems pretty good to me. Make it big enough that hopefully Nathan can't just jam your Dreadhorde Arcanist into it. Oh, well, now we're certainly going to be able to jam our Dreadhorde Arcanist into it. Bryant just electing into this race. That's a pretty big ask, I think, in the face of Dreadhorde Arcanist, Young Pyromancer, and already a spell in the graveyard. I mean, if Nathan casts 2 or 3 spells this turn, it's going to be really hard for Bryant to combat the army of 1/1s that he's going to have. So
certainly.
Let's see what Nathan wants to do here. At minimum, he'll get to draw 1 card off of this Dreadhorde Arcanist with the Warlord's Fury in your graveyard, so that's pretty nice.
Ooh, Adeliz.
Here is Adeliz. All right, no pre-combat spell here, so it looks like it's just going to be the attacks for. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here.
Yep.
Attacks for 5. He'll draw a card.
Yep.
Off of the Warlord's Fury, and of course now everything will get trample.
Yep. No, first strike.
First strike.
Crash through his trample.
Yes, of course. First strike actually seems quite good. We could have attacked with the Young Pyromancer here too, no?
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah.
Maybe you wanted to leave it back for... I don't think blocking...
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to block with it, so I think we should have jammed in with it.
Agreed.
Yeah, giving our creatures first strike definitely means that we could have gotten in an extra 2 points of damage there.
Yeah. Notably, we have not seen Wizard's Lightning or Wizard's Retort out of this Wizard's deck yet.
And we saw Wizard's Lightning last game.
Oh yeah, that's right. But getting to play Lightning Bolt and Counterspell is the real payoff for committing to Wizards.
Yeah, neither of those cards are actually in this format. You know,
Yeah.
You don't get Lightning Bolt and Pioneer. So
You don't even get Counterspell in Modern.
Yeah, which is probably for the best.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, like it might not be too good, but boy, it probably is.
Yeah, that's fair. It
It's
pretty good
really
this
good.
Urza deck,
Yeah,
actually.
it's
Yeah.
really, really powerful. So, all right. We've got, here are some pretty standard attacks. Voice of Resurgence plus Wildborn Preserver getting in there. A pretty easy chump block for Nathan, tossing the 1/1 that he made last turn in front of that Wildborn Preserver. Now Nathan's going to be looking for some spells to cast. Here comes a Storm Chaser Mage. I think the last card in his hand is Land and Bedlam Reveler.
TBR.
Oh, it's Teamer Battle Rage. Oh, boy. All right, so Teamer Battle Rage... Brian's got to be dead, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is absurd amount of damage. He's going to be able to flash back the thing. I expect Collected Company here from Bryant with the Teamer Battle Rage on the stack, so hopefully we'll get to Spell Queller.
Deputy of Detention.
Teamer Battle Rage.
Baby. One more card.
Oh, that ain't it. All right, Voice of Resurgence plus Deputy of Detention seems likely, so... Nathan definitely going to get his 1/1 token regardless, and then I think we're probably just going to have to Deputy of Detention away this...
Adelaide?
It might just need to be the Dreadhorde Arcanist. I mean...
What did he start with targeting with the Teamer Battle Rage?
I assume that he's Teamer Battle Rage targeting Adelies.
Okay.
That's the most damage, right? Like,
Yeah.
doesn't really make too much sense to do anything other than that. So it looks like Deputy of Detention's targeting Adelies, the Cinderwind. So
Robs your opponent of the most power.
Adelies will be going away. Oh, it looks like Storm Chaser Mage was the target for Teamer Battle Rage.
So it's a 2/4 double strike.
Yep. Well, it's actually going to be a 3/4 or a 3/5 because of the Adelies trigger.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because the Adelies trigger does still resolve. And, of course, the Dreadhorde Arcanist gets +1/+1 from the Adelies trigger as well.
Also, this was... Rewind. Assuming that Dreadhorde Arcanist, Young Pyromancer, and the token get blocked, this was 20 damage in the air. Starts with 3, 2 casts a Teamer Battle Rage.
Yeah, it's
makes it
so
to
much
a
damage.
5-power dude and a 5-power dude.
Yeah, but now we only have...
GG's.
We only have the 2 attackers coming in. So Teamer Battle Rage will get flashbacked on the Dreadhorde Arcanist. There's another Prowess trigger from Storm Chaser Mage, so it's now going to be 4 power
Yeah.
on the Storm Chaser Mage.
So that's
still only 2 power on the Dreadhorde Arcanist.
But it's still 12 damage. That's a lot.
It's quite a bit. So this is going to put Bryant down to 3, and he can't block any of it.
I mean, he can block the Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Oh, yeah, he can block the Dreadhorde Arcanist, but it doesn't have Trample, right?
It does. TBR.
Because it doesn't have Ferocious?
Yeah.
Oh, no, but Ferocious is if you control a creature with Power 4 or greater. The target doesn't have to be Power 4 or greater. Because of these Prowess triggers, means that he does end up having...
He will take 2 damage from this Dreadhorde Arcanist Trample.
This Voice of Resurgence block seems pretty free, though, to me. I mean, we get to basically upgrade our Voice of Resurgence and take 2 less damage. Yeah. Seems like kind of a no-brainer to me. Looks like Bryant agrees he'll get an Elemental token, go down to 5.
Okay.
That's
a pretty close game.
Yeah, it is, actually. Like, these 1/1 tokens look to be pretty good. Nathan has 2 cards in hand. I think they might both be lands.
Oof.
And if that's... I think it actually might be land Adelies.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. But if they're both lands... Ooh, Courser of Crufix. That's a pretty good one. Here's Temple Garden. That'll gain him a life. And, draw him a card.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's going to take Bryant a little bit of time to be able to work through all of these 1/1 Young Pyromancer tokens.
With this Wildborn Preserver.
Yeah, and this Voice of Resurgence token.
Yeah, the Wildborn Preserver is no longer attacking.
Yeah, I don't think it really can be. Yeah. So here is a tapped land. It'll gain Bryant 1 life, up to 6. Hinterland Harbor on top of the deck. Voice of Resurgence in hand there for Bryant, but he's got no more mana this turn, unfortunately. Let's see what his attacks look like, if anything. I think we can probably safely get in with our Voice of Resurgence Elemental, But other than that, I'm not certain we have any good
I
attacks.
wouldn't mind attacking with this Voice of Resurgence itself, too.
Oh, I buy that. Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Elemental doesn't seem awful.
Yeah, I like that attack as well. And, if our opponent's blocking with his ground blockers, then we're not worried about them attacking, and I don't think we're worried about them attacking anyway. So, yeah, I agree. I think those are good attacks, but it looks like Bryant just going to pass on his attack step on the full defensive. Currently, another Teamer Battle Rage.
If that's an Adelies, this game is over.
Over, for sure. Oh. Looks like he is not an Adelies.
No.
I believe he has Teamer Battle Rage,
Spirebluff
Canal in hand, so I certainly missaw that. So now this is interesting. Teamer Battle Rage cannot be flashback by the Dreadheart Arcanist because it doesn't have prowess. The Storm Chaser Mage can't attack into the Wildborn Preserver because the Wildborn Preserver is too big, even through Teamer Battle Rage. Yeah. So I don't think Nathan has attacks, right?
I actually think we played the wrong land here. We play Spirebluff Canal, right? I guess we're still not setting up to be able to TBR our own
Wandering Fumarole. That's
quite a while.
That could be. Yeah, I mean, we'll need 7 mana to be able to do that, and we currently only have 6. So next turn. Yeah, so you're right. We should have played the Spirebluff Canal this turn, so that next turn.
I missed the mountain because it blends into the playmat.
Yeah, so that next turn we could animate our Fumarole.
Get in
and Teamer Battle Rage it for a 4-power double strike trampler. Yeah, that seems quite good.
It's going to keep drawing cards and gaining life off this Courser of Crucifix.
You can also do some really cute stuff with the Wandering Fumarole and first strike, double strike damage. You can kill one thing with 4-power first strike damage and then switch it to a 1/4 so that it survives a potential normal damage type deal. So like if you don't want to trade or whatever, you can just eat their thing and then trade it back or whatever. So
gets blocked by a couple 3/3s or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever. So all right. Let's see. Here is Opt to start the turn. Here's a 1/1 token. Bryant, still no attacks from him. He's just kind of biding his time, building up a board. Admittedly, he is kind of pulling ahead, but it feels like Nathan's like an Adelies away from killing his opponent. Here's Crash Through.
Oh, that might just be it.
Gives all of our creatures trample.
Draws a card.
Yeah.
And we're playing this TBR this turn, almost certainly now.
Yeah, we still don't have an Adelies or anything, so the only creature that's actually getting bigger right now is Storm Chaser Mage.
Yeah, but I think it might get big enough.
It easily could.
So this Storm Chaser Mage is now at...
It's a 4-power Storm Chaser Mage.
4-power Chaser.
5-power now. And so now we're in the realm of we're certainly eating the Wildborn Preserver.
Oh, it's over, right? So if there's not a interaction spell from Bryant, what's going to happen is this Storm Chaser Mage and this Dreadheart Arcanist are going to attack. We're going to flash it back, get another chance to opt. We have Wizard's Lightning too. Okay.
We can actually just kill our opponent with a Wizard's Lightning. Oh no, we cannot Wizard's. He casts the Wizard's Lightning instead of the TBR. So now we can't flash. Oh, we Wizard's Lightninged the Deputy of Detention, but we still don't have Teamer Battle Rage this turn, and we've just used all our spells. So now our Storm Chaser Mage is going to be small again next turn. Yeah. Although I suppose, notably on our next turn, we could just cast the Teamer Battle Rage and get the Adelies triggers like we went to do on the first turn.
Yeah.
That happened, so that could be a plan for next turn.
I think what's happening here, right, is that our opponent was dead if we cast this TBR and they had nothing. But Nathan's like, I don't want to bet on them having nothing. I'm just going to
play around Collected Company or whatever.
Never mind. I hate this line. Our opponent has a brazen. Our opponent has a Brazen Borrower on top of their deck. Like, that card is going to disrupt your kill next turn, so you might as well just go for it now, right? Did I miscount?
And now we don't have a good attack this turn because the Wildborn Preserver just gets to jump in front of the Storm Chaser Mage.
How big is the Wildborn Preserver?
I believe it has 4 counters on it, so it's a 6/6.
Yeah.
And we have a 5/7 Storm Chaser Mage. Oh, that's still fine.
Crash Through is a 6-power.
Okay, Storm Chaser Mage is 6-power. And there are 5 counters on Wildborn Preserver. Got it. So Wildborn Preserver is a 7/7, and Storm Chaser Mage is currently a 6/8.
Yeah, but
so that is pretty awkward. Doesn't look like we have a good.
I would have made an opponent chump, right? So okay,
that's not a chump. It's not a chump.
But if we attack with Dreadheart Arcanist and get an Adelies trigger and a Storm Chaser Mage, then it is a chump. Yeah. And in fact, you actually also get to attack with Adelies because our opponent puts Wildborn Preserver on Adelies, they just die. So we can put our opponent to 2 and make them chump. So I think that was almost certainly the right line.
All right, here's another land from Nathan. Not quite what he was looking for. Doesn't look terrible though. We get to animate our Fumarole. Yeah. I mean, this is probably a lethal attack, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
almost certainly.
our opponent has Brazen Borrower, though.
Yeah, but
So-
hopefully they fire off Brazen Borrower before we get a chance to TBR.
TBR, our Wandering Fumarole. No cards in hand. Triggers. So, we have a large amount of 1/1s also.
Yeah.
And I'm not certain exactly the total of amount of 1/1s, but
it's a lot.
it's quite a
like
few
8
1/1s.
or something. It's not a D6 anymore, so it's more than 6.
yeah. So this has got to be a lethal attack, right? Like, math is for blockers, but this has got to be a lethal attack. That is 7
That can attack.
tokens that can attack this turn.
Yeah.
And here is the
TBR getting flashback on presumably the Adelies or the Storm Chaser Mage probably because
Adelise is more damage, so
they have a Brazen Borrower, so we should do the one that's less damage so that they bounce the
no.
no
Just do the one that's more damage.
no
Doesn't
because-
matter.
But they're bouncing one of them, so you should put it on the worst one so they bounce the worst one and then
So it's
the
more
better one is
more damage overall. Yeah, I think notably, I guess by the time we're flashing it back, that's true. I think our opponent, or I think Bryant, should have likely cast this Brazen Borrower before this point, right? Because you could have bounced a Dreadhorde Arcanist or an Adelise earlier, so that your opponent
less triggers going on.
didn't get to flashback Team or Battle Rage, which you knew was going to be happening. So that's a little awkward. All right, so now we get to go ahead and do some blocking. Just Bryant. So he's got to try and survive here. So no trample, quite notably, on any
Adelise. Just crash so do not get cast.
on most of Nathan's creatures. Though the Wandering Fumarole does have trample because it has 4 power. I'm assuming that Nathan switched before casting the Team or Battle Rage because Team or Battle Rage does not retroactively check.
Yeah.
It does need to have Ferocious on cast.
Yep.
So you need to 0 it, target with Team or Battle Rage.
Yep.
Yeah. In order to do that. So also notably, kind of would have been a pretty interesting interaction there if Bryant had some sort of removal spell or something. You could point it at it in response to make him switch to a 1/4 so that it doesn't get trample. But let's see how Bryant lines up his blocks. Once again, I'm assuming Bryant's dead, but he might not be. I don't know. Looks like the players are doing the math, so looks like Courser of Krufix is going to go ahead and jump in front of a Young Pyromancer. Here's a Brazen Borrower jumping in front of
It might be a not dead,
Adelise.
but jumps.
Not dead, but a lot of bad blocks could easily be where we're at. So looks like here is damage. So we have 6 unblocked tokens going through, as well as 1 damage coming through from the Wandering Fumarole, along with a trade.
2/1.
Exactly 1.
Oof.
And the Wandering, I believe Wildborn Preserver dies. Oh, no, it doesn't die. Never mind, because he got to use the rest of the mana from the Brazen Borrower, so he got to put 2 counters on the Wildborn Preserver there. So he doesn't actually take 1 damage from the Wandering Fumarole.
Got it.
Is this just lethal? No, he's got Young Pyromancer tokens. So Wildborn is at 10/10. So without the Young Pyromancer tokens that
The one Young Pyro token.
that the Young Pyromancer made.
Oh, it's 2
It's
because
2. Yeah. He would be dead, but does not have it now. And of course, the Wildborn Preserver is going to have to stay at home because it needs to be able to block Adelise. It's the only creature that can. But I do think that Bryant should try and make some attacks right now. Temple Garden tapped is going to gain Bryant 1 life up to 3. And I think it's time to send in with like Courser of Krufix and a Voice of Resurgence, like
And no, the token. We want to get the token.
yeah, the elemental token and probably the other voice. Need to start sending. We need to win the game at
Well,
some
no, because
point.
then we're dying to these like 5/1/1s. There's still 5/1/1s.
Oh, that's true. I did forget about that.
Yeah.
So I suppose we
Now
do
6
need to
1/1s,
be pretty conscious
of
about
which
that.
you can block 4. So you're taking 2.
Storm Chaser Mage is in hand for Nathan.
Well,
Another
yeah,
land,
bounced
though.
by Brazen Borrower.
Yeah, another land, though. It's no good. And yes, of course. And another Brazen Borrower on top for Bryant.
8/1/1
is probably
elementals.
a good one.
Oh, because there were 2, right? 8/1/1 elementals.
But that's not lethal.
Is it not?
No, it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4.
He's 3. He has 5 blockers. You get to attack
Wow.
with Adelise, Storm
Yeah,
Chaser.
no,
Storm Chaser's
that
hitting for
should
1.
be lethal.
And then he's getting hit for another 5. That should be 3 points over lethal. What? Am I missing something?
Yeah, we must be missing something. because if there are 8 1/1 elementals there, then that was certainly a lethal attack.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
unless he's playing real scared, but like he's a Brazen Borrower on top of his deck. Once again, like
yeah, the Brazen Borrower is going to be really awkward here.
Like you can't play scared when you know their hand's going to get better next turn, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree. So here is going to start the turn with Crash Through, Will Nathan. So everything will be getting Trample this turn, so pretty notable. Trample helps quite a bit. The Storm Chaser Mage getting 2 power every spell that gets cast here. So now that Storm Chaser Mage already has 5 power, Wizard's Lightning U, that'll put Bryant to 1 because he is not dead yet, but surely we have a lethal attack here now. Right, our opponent's at 1.
Gotta be, right? There's 8 dudes.
There's 8 dudes, yeah. And we can bounce the Storm Chaser Mage with the Brazen Borrower. We can block the Adelies with the Wildborn Preserver and then just die to 8 1/1s. Yeah.
We should just die.
Yeah, so
Brian's actually blocking Adelies with the 3/1 because it can only block flyers and then putting a thing on the guy.
Certainly. So we will have... Here comes the Brazen Borrower on the Storm Chaser Mage. So Storm Chaser Mage will go back to hand. Oh, Brazen Borrower on token? That can't be right. The Storm Chaser Mage has so much power and it has Trample.
Oh, yeah. Unless we have another interaction spell.
Well, now we're tapped out, so now we're dead. Because everything has Trample because of Crash Through. Unless that was a Warlord's Fury and it's giving First Strike instead, but still?
Yeah.
Like, we're still just dead, right?
Yep.
Because this one... And then we have 4 blockers for 8 creatures. Like, we're dead on a million fronts. Yeah, dead on a million fronts. So, all right. Kind of a messy game there.
Yeah, we might have been missing something, but my gut is that Nathan could have killed Bryant. You can't always play scared, and Nathan could have killed Bryant a couple turns earlier.
Yeah, he definitely kind of got... I'm not going to say bailed out, because I think he still had lethal. Yeah. But, he definitely drew a nice string of spells there to be absolutely certain he had lethal there. Yeah. So, nice game number 2 there. Means we're going to get a pretty sweet game number 3. This matchup's pretty sweet, actually. It's pretty interesting.
There's a lot of tension, right? The board gets built up, players interact with each other, and then there's big turns where big creatures are coming in.
Yeah.
It's basically storm turns from Is It Wizards, where you're just spell, flashing back the Dread Horde Arcanist, play a Bolt You, turn him sideways and hope it's good enough.
Yeah, and notably we saw a few turns where Bryant elected to not attack and then also ended up not blocking, and that could have mattered. I mean, if Nathan was at 4 or even 6 less life there, Bryant could have found a theoretically good aggressive attack there that would have forced Nathan into some blocks. Yeah. And then that would have been a good way to, kind of try and turn the corner there as well. So,
yeah, certainly.
Perhaps would have liked to see some more attacks from both players that game.
Certainly. That young Pyromancer, was it good.
Oh, yeah.
That easily won the game. It was the reason he did not die to a 10-10 on the ground.
As well as kill your opponent.
The 1/1 dealt Bryant, actually 14 damage, right? They, attack with 7, take
easily.
5, attack with 8, take another, half his life total was that young Pyromancer.
Well over.
Turn 2.
Well over, yeah.
And it kept him alive the whole time. Yep. Young Pyromancer is the real deal if you haven't been keeping up with Magic since M14.
In the last 10 years or whatever, yeah. All right. So let's go ahead, get ready for game number 3 here. We'll see Bryant on the play for this one. Pretty big deal. I think if Bryant can get off to a fast start with some type of Llanowar Elf draw, that could be a really good way for him to pull ahead. And we'll, especially get out from under the threats, or get out under the threats with a turn 2 spell queller could even be really, really good as well. And, we did see, looks like Bryant did bring in the Deputy of Detentions from the sideboard, which I mentioned can just get Wizard's Lightninged, and we did see that exact thing happen that game. So, kind of exactly why I would prefer to see the Conclave Tribunal over those spell quellers got illustrated there. I mean, we would have been able to cast the Conclave Tribunal for free, and it would have been able to take out that.
I mean, that Deputy Detention got hit off a collected card.
That's true, though.
And notably, one of those cards is much better against Young Pyromancer tokens than the other. Deputy Detention.
That's true.
Especially when my opponent has Young Pyromancer in their deck, right? Imagine one of those turns where
that is very
the
true.
board looks well ahead for Nathan. He's
all the tokens are gone,
and draw, and then boom, all the tokens are gone, and you're probably dead or
probably
with
dead on the board.
Or whatever.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at both players' opening hands here. Looks like no good from Bryant. Nathan over there, it's got a Wild Slash, a couple lands. I think he's looking at a Wizard's Lightning as well. Opt.
Yeah, that looks decent.
Looks fine to me. I don't think it's
cantrip.
I don't think it's great or anything. Got a Wild Slash as well. I think it might have 4 lands in it. I don't think it has a threat.
Oh, okay. Then I might mulligan that.
And I believe it has 4 lands, so it could easily have a threat in there that I'm missing, but looks like Nathan's probably just hoping to find one off an opt or a couple first few draw steps.
Wizard's Lightning a lot worse when it is
3 mana, yeah.
Open fire.
Yeah. All right, so here's Llanowar Elf on the first turn of the game. We'll see if Nathan wants to just gun this thing down immediately. It looks like he does in fact want to do that, and
yep.
I agree.
So trading 2 damage for 1 mana at that 1 mana 1/1.
Just go ahead and do our thing. Yep. So now we'll just see a nice tapped land from Bryant. Ooh, Young Pyromancer, right on time.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I would have kept this hand.
Me?
Yeah, I would. Would you have kept this hand?
Yeah,
idiot. You wanted to mulligan this? What are you doing?
Yep.
This hand looks great now. Look at all the spells we have. Oh yeah, this looks great. All right. Here's Courser.
When Nathan started playing Magic the Gathering, he made the right choice and checked the box going to draw it.
Yeah, it has it. Ooh, Adelaide is off the top. You wanted to mulligan this? What are you doing? No, right. What are you doing? Just you wanted to mulligan this?
Yeah. Get those 2 in there.
Here's an attack for 2. Forest on top of the deck. Bryant's gonna go ahead and draw that one. Sunpetal Grove. Whoa! What are we doing playing this forest instead of that Sunpetal Grove?
Uh-oh. Come on, Bryant.
What's happening?
Not a time to be sloppy. Probably got excited he has a collector company in his hand, just ready to slam it, but
the Sunpetal Grove comes in untapped.
When it comes in untapped and draws you a land deeper for your
I'm not about what happened here. Obviously, we've got a nice collector company in our hand, and that's fine. But I'm pretty bummed about missing out on this free card we just lost.
No kidding.
All right, well, that's what it is. Here's Storm Chaser Mage off the draw from the Crash Through. It'll come down. Here's Spell Queller. I think this is pretty good from Bryant. Just go ahead and
snag that.
Yeah, of course, we still have a 4-power Adelaide, so presumably Bryant's just going to go ahead and take the 4 from that, excuse me. Draw our Sunpetal Grove, Voice of Resurgence on top now, so gain a life off Hallowed Fountain. Here's an attack for 2. Makes enough sense. We probably aren't blocking with our Spell Queller, so
yeah.
Just going to go ahead and ship the turn back to Nathan, holding up presumably Collected Company, Spell Queller, the works again.
Okay, so I think we have a Whisper's Lightning in Nathan's hand, and if we don't have another either counter spell or bolt effect, I don't even like hitting the Spell Queller that much. I think you kind of have to, but like if you run into a Collected Company here, it's certainly brutal.
Yeah, well, Here is the Collected Company. We've got Voice of Resurgence known about. There's a Spell Queller.
Oh yeah. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah,
honestly.
Just Voice Spell Queller seems great. So there's that and the Voice of Resurgence.
Yep.
A little bit of nice flash Voice of Resurgence, of course.
The top card. Oh, the 3rd Spell Queller?
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
So Spell Queller off the top. It's going to be no mystery here to Nathan, of course. But Nathan only has 2 cards in hand, so that's not bad. Here, of course, just going to go ahead and draw him 1.
Yep.
Now, and is that Ojutai's Command? That came in?
Interesting, yeah. I mean, countering the creatures are really what matters. Our opponent plays.
That's true. The creatures are what matters,
yeah.
but that's a card costs 4 mana, and the creatures cost less than that.
That's fair. Draws a card.
That's true. All right. Well, here's Soulscar Mage. Soulscar Mage. We'll see if that's enough for Bryant to pull the trigger on the Spell Queller. Would you counter the Soulscar Mage?
I don't think so.
It's pretty innocuous, admittedly, but like I'm pretty worried about my opponent just being like, all right, go, and then I'm gonna feel kind of dumb. But then I guess things are going to get much harder with the Ojutai's Command that we're drawing on our next turn for our opponent. So, yeah, I think I'm okay just saying okay here. We're really worried about like Wizard's Lightning being able to like kill our Spell Queller. That kills our other Spell Queller. Kind of takes down the house of cards we're building here.
Yeah.
So I think I agree. I think we can just let him have a Soulscar Mage. We can probably just, look to block it with our Voice of Resurgence, end up with a token or something along those lines, and then even be able to bring it back with Ojutai's Command and draw a card or something along those lines. So, all right. Looks like Bryant has said okay. That Soulscar Mage cannot attack.
Does not have haste.
So we're going to have to get production to make a quick edit to that. Get a quick rewind here. Make sure that Soul Scar Mage does not get into the red zone. We'll see. Looks like here Brian's lining up his blocks. Here comes Voice of Resurgence looking to block Young Pyromancer. Coercive Crewfix on Elemental Token. I agree with these blocks for what it's worth. Go ahead and take out the Young Pyromancer. I'm pretty curious to see the Young Pyromancer getting into the red zone there. I'm not certain about that one.
This just seems like an odd attack to me.
Yeah, very...
Passing after that attack?
Yeah, I mean...
Why don't we just get in for 2 on top? Like, we just basically traded our token
attention.
And our...
Young Pyromancer for, like, 4 damage?
Yeah. 2 damage. Because it was only 2 from the thing. Because Adelies...
Oh, yeah, Adelies. Right? Yeah, you're right. Adelies was always getting in for 2. Yeah. Alright, well... Now we've got... nice continued aggression here from Bryant.
Yep.
So this is an attack for 8. And here comes... Fiery Cannonade.
Okay, this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that one's going to have to go away.
Wait, why Fiery Cannonade here? Oh, because Soul Scar Mage
gives them all -2/-2, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so notably, it would not kill any of Bryant's creatures, but it does make them all 0/1s, which is a pretty big deal. So now we'll see Bryant, Nathan not allowed to block, so he's taking 9 from this attack. We'll see, and yeah, here's just a lethal Ojutize command. This is going to be return Voice of Resurgence from my graveyard to play, and there's the handshake, and that means that we are going to see Bryant take down Nathan in a nice three-game match.
Yeah, good match. We've had some good...
Yeah, these were sweet.
Yeah, I think all of our matches went to 3. The first one was a 2-0.
And the second one went to 3. Yeah, the second one went to 3, yeah. Yeah, these have been pretty sweet. Yeah. We saw the Young Pyromancer kind of run away with game number 2 there, kind of as we'd alluded to potentially happening. So Young Pyromancer is definitely a card to keep on your radar. It, like, always shows up in sideboards of these, like, spell decks, and, like, it feels like people are never ready for it. But, like, I guarantee you, if your opponent's playing blue-red and some spells, there's going to be Young Pyromancer somewhere in their 75. Try not to lose to it. Like, this is my PSA. Don't lose to Young Pyromancer, people. It's really good. You can't have a plan that is not... They're just 1/1s, surely.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I would like to take a moment to thank our second sponsor for the night, Die Hard Dice. Die Hard is the absolute best for any type of tabletop RPG. They make awesome metal dice. They feel super good to roll. Everybody likes having, that type of swag. It's kind of like the D&D equivalent to foils, I would say. And notably, we're running up here on the holidays, so if you're looking to get, your favorite DM or anything along those lines, a sweet Christmas present, highly recommend Die Hard Dice for that. We have them in store, and if you can't get them in store, you can always go to dieharddice.com and check them out. They're great, and I've even heard that they roll 20s more often than other dice.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's a good.
Yeah, that's a sell point right there.
Look, nobody wants to be the guy, whether it's Magic, whether it's D&D, whatever it is. No one wants to be the person borrowing other people's dice. Get your own dice. Get your friend's dice.
Sweet dice.
And you know what? They might as well be nice. Yeah. Get your nice dice here.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed. So thank you so much to Die Hard Dice for supporting the stream. Without you guys' help, we wouldn't be able to do that, or we wouldn't be able to be here. And one more time, I'd like to shout out the Pioneer 1K that we are having on December 14th. Be sure to go ahead and head to our website. You can find the information under Magic Events. You can pre-register. So make sure that you guys check out the Pioneer 1K here at Paradise Games in Bellingham, Washington. December 14th, it pays out in cash. And if you can't make it for whatever reason, the whole thing will be streamed and I'll be here the entire time. So we're going to keep, talking about this one because I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope to see a bunch of you guys there. With that, thank you for joining me tonight, Noble. I will be back tomorrow for sure, bringing you guys Friday night Standard. Going back to Standard. We took a little Pioneer hiatus there, as I mentioned, but we're going back to Standard for Friday Night Magic. So I'll be here tomorrow bringing you Standard FNM. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Excuse me. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys with some Hot Damn Scandal.